What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Down the Line podcast. I'm back with my good co-host Ethan Black. Ethan, how are we doing today? What's been up?
Doing good. I mean, fun deadline. It's always fun when a lot of trades are made, especially in a season that's been very memorable so far, especially as a Jays fan. So it's good to see.
Oh yeah, even like we got started on the deadline kind of early. We got one of the ones, uh, like an hour after we stopped recording the last one. A trade dropped, and we had this guy going there. I think we both had him going there. I think we
Yeah,
both had him going there. We'll get to that. It's gonna be the first trade we talk about. But yeah, it's trade deadline. Deadline was about an hour ago. Some trades trickle through a little bit after that, but it's 7 o'clock right now. Deadline was just over an hour ago, so the trades seem to be done unless we get like a surprise Jeff or Ken Rosenthal or whoever announcement during the episode. In which case we'll talk about it. But we have a few things to talk about before we get to all of the trades. Number one is the Seth Lugo extension. The Royals, we kind of expected them to be sellers on the, not like hard sellers, but like soft sellers, like trading off their expirings and such. They actually didn't really do that. I don't think they traded away like anyone significant on their major league roster. I think except for like Freddie Freeman. But the big one here is Seth Lugo actually got extended. He was one of the um, top starting pitchers that was in trade rumors. People had him going to this team and this team and whatever, right? And a bombshell kind of dropped on, I don't remember what day it was last week. Or sorry, it was actually on it was on Monday that it dropped that he signed an extension with the Royals. Now this extension secures him 21.5 million in the 2026 season, 21.5 during the 2027 season. Altogether, that is $43 million, and then there's a $17 million club option for 2028. Obviously, this took him right off the trade market. This also tells us a good bit about the Royals' like direction that they're taking. Um, I think we kind of agreed on this that they were gonna sell off leather expiring stuff, but they decided to keep Lugo around, which I mean makes sense. He's a fantastic pitcher. He's been one of the best pitchers in the AL this year. Was a Cy Young finalist last year, if I remember correctly. And they said, you know what? It's gonna be hard to find another one of these, so they decided to lock him up. Ethan, what are you saying on this extension? What does it say to you?
well, it says to me that the Royals are going to try to actually make a push here in the second half, and they're definitely going to have their work cut out for them. They're three back of the wild card and nine and a half back of the division, so it's going to be a very uphill battle, but they made some good additions too, bringing in Grichuk. They brought in Yastrzemski. They brought in Falter, who's been very good this year. It looks to me like they're hoping that they're playing in October.
Yeah, they were a team that like I think they were only like four, maybe five out when we did our last episode, or even like at the All Star break. I'm pretty sure they were only like that number of games out of a playoff spot. And it was like maybe they could do like a Tigers of last year, but granted, I don't think that's a
Yeah,
run that you. I don't think that's the type of run that you bank on making. But they decided to say, you know what, we're not gonna sell off everything, right? And I kind of actually really like that they did that. I really like when I see small market teams go for it. Now, I wouldn't call their deadline going for it per se because they didn't do anything super significant aside from the extension. But they said, you know what, we're gonna keep the guys that we have. We're gonna, get some guys that might help us next year, the year after, or even could help this year, right? I don't. What their deadline says to me, above all else, is that they aren't necessarily making a hard push for this year, but they want to secure talent to help them make a run in the next couple of years too. That's going to help them the next few seasons.
yeah,
So that was a little bit interesting. It was kind of unexpected because I don't think there was any buzz around a Lugo extension until the actual announcement dropped. I think I was at work when when the announcement dropped, or I was like on my way to
yeah.
work or something like that. I can't exactly remember, but I remember being really surprised when the news dropped. It was a really unexpected thing. So
Yeah, I was one of the guys that a lot of the insiders said that was definitely getting traded ahead of the deadline.
it was him and like Merrill Kelly were like the two top starters that were like pretty much like, yeah, they're
Yeah.
going to get traded, and then one of them didn't. You don't see that one. You don't see that one too often, especially on a team that's below 500. But hey, respect to the Royals. Shout out, they paid their guy and they got their boy. And I actually don't hate the contract either. I think this is actually a pretty good value deal for the Royals, and also Lugo's getting what's probably going to be his last significant payday if. He's guaranteed through his age 37 season. If that option gets picked up, he's getting money through age 38. So really good. He has a ERA just barely over 3 on the dot this year in 20 starts, just under 119 innings. Obviously, like I said, last year he was a Cy Young finalist. So if he keeps pitching at this 1/2 kind of caliber level, this is a fantastic extension for the Royals, and I really love it for their team. I actually really like that they didn't sell off, but really good. We got another thing to talk about. This one is a doozy here, man. So it came out the other day. Obviously, we've had guys that have been put in, they've been getting put in the trade machine, right?
Yep.
Reliever starters. You always get those guys that are, like kind of long shots to get moved, right? One of those guys' names was Emmanuel Clase. And then it came out the other day that he was placed on the non-disciplinary paid leave as they were looking into, as the Major League Baseball was being put into, or they were like investigating like a sports betting thing. So he got placed on the leave, in like with some sort of like probe. They don't know for sure. Obviously, they're investigating it. Apparently, it was like some pitches that he made that had like a really insane number of bets on them of how it was gonna go. Apparently, they were like really out of the zone pitches. I think it was. I don't know exactly what it was.
It was similar to the Luis Ortiz situation, which we saw not too long ago as well from the same team, where he was throwing first pitch balls, which is a market that you're able to bet on with baseball. And yeah, I saw a tweet showing his stats on the first pitches like being balls and strikes, and there's a stat called waste percentage on Statcast, which is pitches that are not even close to the zone, non-competitive pitches. Every first pitch of the ninth inning, his waste percentage was 17.5%. Every other pitch was 5.2%. That's how Luis Ortiz got flagged, and that's what happened with Class A.
That is kind of interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't actually even know that was a filter you could do on Statcast. That's kind of cool, but yeah, that's an interesting one. Now, I don't think, as far as we know, the two cases aren't like confirmed to be related. But it is kind of crazy that the two major ones are on the same team. We've been seeing this happening a lot in sports recently. There were a few cases in basketball too. I know Terry Rozier got hit with that. I think he beat the case though, and then there was somebody else. I'm not thinking of Jonte Porter. There was somebody else around that thing. But now we're seeing it more into baseball. I think Luis Ortiz was the first big one, and then it was Class A, and then I can't remember any other ones unless I'm just forgetting a major one from like recently before.
I think it was Beasley for basketball.
Oh, Malik Beasley, you're right. Yeah, no, you're right. It was Malik Beasley. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I was just forgetting about that one. Yeah, we've been seeing it a little more across sports recently. Obviously, I'm sure that it's probably easier to do this kind of thing with like the legal like betting now that it's more normalized and it's advertised. But let's not act like this is just some brand new thing that's popped up. Like this has always happened. Like Pete Rose was literally betting on games when he was a manager. This goes back a long time.
Yeah, now with all like the websites and apps that are legal, it's just easier to do. You don't have to go through a bookie or anything like that. So it's definitely more accessible for these players.
Yeah, it's more accessible. I wonder if it's easier to catch them though, because of how like open the sites are. I don't actually know that. I'm just kind of spitballing, but I see some people acting like the normalizing like the gambling and stuff is like why it's happening. I don't think it helps. but I'm not gonna sit here and act like this was never a thing before DraftKings or
No,
whatever.
I
I'm not gonna
mean,
sit here and act like this didn't
yeah,
exist.
my take is that I think that it is ridiculous the amount of stuff that are sponsored by these betting apps. When you watch a broadcast, you're watching a baseball game on ESPN, and you have the guys who are calling the game going through their parlays for the game, showing the odds. You got teams wearing betting ads on their jerseys in sports. You got stadiums named after betting cut. Like you got everything, and it's just it's too much. I'm not saying that that is why the players are doing it. The players should have the self control to not be able to do it, but obviously, this isn't just something that you can say, oh, just don't do it, because at the end of the day, it could be an addiction, and
Mm.
it gets scary and it gets out of hand. It's not something that you necessarily want to do, but if you're a professional athlete, I feel like you gotta have the self control to not do that on your own stuff. I mean, there's been cases where players have bet on other stuff and they've got caught. I know a guy on in hockey, Shane Pinto, got suspended half a season. And what happened was apparently he allowed his friend to bet on his behalf on his account. Had nothing to do with the sport he was playing. But it's something like that. Like if it's something like that, that's where it kind of gets a bit out of hand of the suspensions. But if you're betting on your own pitches, I mean, then you did it to yourself.
Yeah, and the other thing is like guys are gonna get caught. Guys have, as
Yeah.
far as we know, guys has always gotten caught. I don't think that there's. I mean, granted, I kind of realized what I was about to say as before I said it out loud. We don't know of any like super under the radar operations, but granted, if they're super under the radar, that's why we don't know about
Yeah.
them. But
I mean,
like,
here's another thing with that though. Like, in order for them to get caught, it can't just be them putting like $20 or something on the first pitch to be a ball.
yeah,
They're probably putting tens of thousands on this. They're putting in an absurd amount of money where if it flags somebody with the company with the betting app or the league and they say, this guy just bet this isn't a real number, by the way. I'm throwing it out, but this guy bet $20,000 on a first pitch ball, and it was not even close to the zone. That's a bit suspicious.
yeah, I'm pretty sure with obviously we don't know the results of what's going to happen with this the Luis Ortiz case because like these are just recent. I'm pretty sure in basketball with the Jonte Porter one, like they had it like in a Discord server, and Jonte, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, he was telling them like, all right, do this, do this, do this, whatever, whatever, right? I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, that's how that was happening. I don't actually remember that case that well, so maybe I
He,
should.
I know he was like betting on his unders and missing shots, but
Yeah, that's crazy.
something along
That's
those
that's
lines.
crazy, but like,
I
yeah,
mean, helped our tank, so
it did help our tank a little bit. So I mean, respects to that, but um, yeah, man, that's a tough case. That's a tough scenario to be in, especially if
yeah,
you're the Guardians. You are either trying to do one of two things. They aren't very far out of a playoff spot. Like they're only, I think, what are they, 2.5, 3 games out, something like that. They're 2.5 out. They're 500. Or you were looking to trade him because I know that they were listening
yeah.
to offers for him. I personally never thought he was going to get moved. But granted, I also wasn't 100% that Johan Duran was going to get moved, and he also got traded. So it very well could have been the
I
case they would
also
have got
thought there
traded.
wasn't a chance that Mason Miller got traded. He did,
Oh,
so
well, I thought that was such a long shot. When those were,
yeah,
Mason Miller's been thrown in talks. I'm pretty sure he was thrown a little bit in talks in the off season. I think he's been thrown in talks like pretty much this whole year. I thought it was such a long shot because I don't even think he has a full 2 years of service time yet. I was like, yeah, there's no way. And then of course they did it and got a ridiculous return. But yeah, that definitely hurts if you're the
and we'll
Guardians.
talk about that.
I
Yeah,
wonder how that affects the clubhouse
yeah.
too. I wonder how that affects the clubhouse down there. Surely it
Here's
doesn't.
what I'm wondering. What I'm wondering about is Jose Ramirez's situation because he obviously took a pay cut to stay, but he was told and he was promised by the front office that they'd compete. And obviously, Quan didn't get traded this deadline, but if his names were that much in talks, who's to say he won't get traded in the offseason? Who's to say that Clase wouldn't have got traded if he, didn't have all this happen and be on leave? This could change this franchise because, for all you know, Jose Ramirez can say, you know what, I don't like the direction this team is going and want to be traded. That's just me wondering. It's not me saying, oh, he will get traded. I don't have sources that say that, so that's not what I'm saying at all. But It's just if you're promised to win and the team does not look like they're going in the right direction, if you're a superstar and you took a pay cut to stay, obviously you'd be disgruntled at this.
Mm-hmm. Especially because like Cleveland is such a weird team to project, like all the time, because they've traded so many like good players in the last 10 years, and then they've just still been consistently good. Like they
Yeah.
traded Lindor, and then like the next year the next year, like 2 years later, or whatever, they won like 93 games. They were still like in a playoff race. They a few times they won that division. It's really weird, right? And like obviously that's not the only
Yeah.
guy they traded. Corey Kluber got traded way back when, and then they made the playoffs, and then this and that. Um, it's not a team that has really like done a full sell in quite a minute, but they also haven't done like a hardcore buy where they're trading all their top prospects for the top guys either. They've always been this team that will like. I mean, they don't really like to go too high in payroll, so they'll try to get those controllable guys. They have certain guys they like. They'll never go trade for the guy on the big contract or sign the guy to the mega deal. They've been pretty good, I think, with like player development and such. That's why you've seen certain guys come up and then they make an impact and whatever. They have a certain type of guy that they like, and that's why they've been able to be so consistent. Because they really like their controllable guys. They don't like guys on too high a payroll, but yeah, I don't really know how this affects that team situation as a whole, because regardless if this would have happened or not, if Clase would have stayed or been traded or not, had he not gone put on the leave, this is such a weird team to project anyways. And they did have a lot of guys in trade talks. Obviously, they did trade Shane Bieber, albeit he didn't really. I don't really think this changes anything for the rest of their season because he didn't pitch for them yet this year. He was still doing. He's currently doing rehab starts. But they were talking about selling off some other guys, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. This will be a team, I'm sure, in the coming months near the end of the season, during the off season, we'll hear a lot more about it, and then we'll get a much clearer picture. But now we're ready, I think, for the meat and potatoes of the episode. Right now, we're gonna we're gonna grade every single worthwhile trade deadline move, and we have pretty much every single move from Josh Naylor to the most recent move on here, which I actually have to look at our list. It was Shelby Miller, I believe, is the most recent one, unless we might have it a little bit out of order. But we have pretty much everything from Josh Naylor onwards that we are going to be grading on a scale from either A plus or F, and we're going to give both teams a score based on just the overall trade itself. Now, again, I'm going to preface, there's a lot more things that go into trade values than simply just how good a player is. Age, injury history, contract status, the length of their contract, control, all that stuff. That all goes into how much value a player has. So one thing that happens every deadline is a bunch of rental players get moved who only have the rest of the season left on their contract. So really, that's like 60 games of guaranteed like play for your team. That's not nearly as much value as it might feel like you get sometimes, because rentals are a lot cheaper than if you would have traded him with the full season under his books, or under contract, or even a season and a half or 2 years. Rentals are inherently cheaper in 99% of scenarios, so we are going to also take that into account. If someone didn't get a top prospect for an expiring guy, we're not going to knock them for it, because guess what? You were never going to get a top prospect for an expiring contract. But now, with all that out of the way, let's start. We had this one on the last episode. We were going over deadline fits, and we brought up Josh Naylor, and we said his best fit will be the Seattle Mariners. I don't remember if we both said it. I know I said it because I was parading that around. I texted one of my friends too, and I was like, my prophecy came true. But yeah, Josh Naylor to the Seattle Mariners. Arizona got back left-handed pitcher Brandon Garcia and right-handed pitcher Ashton Izzy. Izzy has pitched in high A this year, and Brandon Garcia has pitched mostly in AAA. However, he has had a little bit of major league time here. So I gotta say, I personally like this for both teams. I think I would probably give it an A minus, I would say, for the Mariners. And I'd probably give it an A. I'd give it a B plus for the Diamondbacks too, I think. just based on that. You were never going to get like super top value for Josh Naylor because he's expiring. He's not like an otherworldly great first baseman. He's really good, like a 125, 130 WRC plus at bat. But again, he is expiring, and obviously first base kind of knocks out some positional value. So Ethan, what do you gotta say about this trade right here?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with your grades for the most part there. Naylor adds something to that Mariners lineup, and obviously we're going to get to the other trade they made, but the significant trade, but it added to the lineup and it made a team who has an incredible pitching staff. Like gave them some run support there, some offense, and the guys they gave up aren't guys who I think the Mariners were going to be relying on anytime soon, especially Izzy, but Garcia, I think, is a solid pitcher who could definitely be solid for the Diamondbacks. He's got a very good fastball, a good slider, and definitely with some major league games under his belt. Not obviously not the greatest showing, but it's hard to go from the minors to the majors like that. So I think that they got a pretty solid prospect in Garcia and Izzy, two of them. But yeah, Naylor adds some power to that lineup for the Mariners, and I think that's gonna do wonders for them.
Yeah, I don't really love Izzy as a prospect. Like, I don't really think that part of the return doesn't really do much for me. To be totally honest for you, I really like Brandon Garcia for them. Actually, he is a really good strikeout pitcher. He does have a little bit of issue with walks. He's this year across Double A and Triple A in the minor leagues. He's pitched only 33 and a third innings out of the bullpen. But he's walked just over 4.5 batters per 9 innings, which is a little bit concerning. However, if you are good enough in a relief role, you can walk a decent amount of guys and you can still be good. We see plenty of relief pitchers at the major league level have a little bit of command or control issues, and they're still really effective, especially if they have really good strikeout stuff, which Garcia seems to have. He has struck out a lot of guys at pretty much every minor league level that he's pitched at. Even last year across 2 levels in the minor leagues. High A, he was striking out over 11 batters per 9 innings in his stint in Double A last year as well. This also was a starting pitcher, by the way, so he kind of transitioned this year into the bullpen. Last year at Double A, he struck out 9.25 batters per 9 innings. So he's shown that he can... he's shown that he has really good strikeout stuff. Also, does a pretty decent job of keeping the ball in the yard too. Just 0.8 home runs per 9 in the minor leagues this year across 33 and a third innings. I really like him. I think that he could be a pretty good lefty out of the bullpen for the Diamondbacks, or if he for some reason is getting moved later, I'm not going to project that right now, but I think he could be a pretty valuable contributor out of the pen for the Diamondbacks. So I do like that part of the return for them. But again, Naylor, big prize. They needed corner infielders. We said this on the last podcast. If you went anywhere, they would have been saying the Mariners need corner infielders. And they got one. And they got one of the top first basemen on the market. Him, O'Hearn. You can, make your case. But that was their guy, clearly. And they went and got it. Really good. I like this one for both. And so the next deal that we have on here, we have Gregory Soto getting traded to the New York Mets. Now, on the last episode, we said that one of the things that they needed was left-handed pitching. Now, I want to make a quick apology really quick. I had Kyle Finnegan to the Mets under this assumption. I, for some reason, gaslit myself into thinking that Kyle Finnegan was a lefty. Kyle Finnegan, I apologize.
If you're listening.
If you're listening, Kyle Finnegan, I apologize. I don't know how I gaslit myself into thinking he was a lefty, but I don't know. Whatever, I guess. Gregory Soto, I really like this pickup for the Mets. Another really good strikeout pitcher. Keeps the ball in the yard and, walks a little more batters than you'd like, but has still shown the ability to be really, really effective. One thing that Gregory Soto does really well is he actually is really good as a contact manager as well. He gets a good amount of strikeouts. He's in the 82nd percentile in strikeout percentage, but he's also 96th percentile in barrel rate, just 4%. which is really good. He also runs a pretty good ground ball rate. A little over 46% of his batted balls are on the ground, which is the 69th percentile. So you don't really have to worry that guys are just going to start mashing him out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't have like super outstanding like exit velo overall, but because he gets so many ground balls, you can it kind of makes up for the fact that he has more or less middling exit velo off of him. Plus, he has pretty good solid fastball velocity. He gets pretty good value out of his breaking pitches. Overall, this is a good move for the Mets. This is what they needed. This is not the only bullpen move they made, but
No.
this was a good move to get a very good lefty. Might have been the best lefty reliever on the market off the top of my head. And they didn't really give up a crazy amount either. Like, Wellington Aracena, I hope I'm saying that name right. I don't know if it's Aracena or whatever. Wellington was only the Mets ranked 19th prospect. The other prospect they gave up, Cameron Foster, wasn't even ranked in the Mets system, so they didn't really give up a too steep price for Gregory Soto, which I think makes this a really good deal for the Mets. I'm going to give this an A for the Mets. I'm going to give this, let's say, a B for the Orioles, because I do think that Wellington does have some upside. He has been nuts in the minors this year. Overall, he has pitched 69 innings overall. Half of his outings has been as a starter. Half of them have been out of the bullpen. He has made 18 total appearances, 9 starts. A 2.22 ERA down there, but almost 12 strikeouts per 9. Has not allowed a home run in the minors, by the way, this year, which is kind of insane. Again, the only problem is the walks. He walked a lot of guys in the minors with the Mets. He only made one start for the Orioles in their minor league system so far, and control was apparently a lot better there. But I think he has a little bit of upside. He's the one that really I look at in this piece, and I think that was the one that really got it for the Orioles. I'm gonna give this a B for them because Wellington does have some upside, but I'm also gonna give this just an A for the Mets because this is a really really cheap package for pretty much exactly what they needed.
Yeah. I mean, I really do like that Soto move. He gets a ton of swing and miss on his slider, particularly. Obviously, good in general, but slider at 46% whiff percentage, which would rank number 11 among pitchers with at least 200 pitches on that slider. So definitely very good guy to have, especially with the other move too, Ryan Helsley, whose slider is also up there.
Yup.
I mean, you want strikeouts from your relievers, and you're going to get them here.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm gonna give this one. Yeah, I'm gonna give this one an A for the Mets. I'm gonna give this one a B for the Orioles. Ethan, did we get a grade from you?
I mean, same thing. I would say definitely A for the Mets, maybe A minus. I don't think it's like I'm saying A minus. I don't think that means it's necessarily worse than what you said. It's just I guess maybe our rating systems could be different, but
Yeah.
yeah, and I'd say like a B for the Orioles. I mean, 1 year deal. It's a guy that was gone at the end of the year anyway. You're getting pitchers for him. You're getting arms. It doesn't hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and you're getting a top 20 prospect in one of the team systems. So for a guy who's as good as gone, and one of the guys who all these guys said is going to get traded, all the insiders said is going to get traded. If the fact that you're getting a top 20 prospect for a guy like this, you can't be too upset with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. You gotta love this one if you're the Mets. The next trade we got on here. This is Ryan McMahon to the New York Yankees. Now, Ethan, if you want to take a little victory lap really quick, you are totally free to do so because you had this one I think last week. I'm pretty sure this was.
I said keep Ryan as their
Oh,
guy,
you said it was him.
but
Oh, okay. I thought you said it was.
yeah,
I thought you said it was
I
McMahon.
might I might have said also, but I think for my prediction it was that. But
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't know. I think McMahon is still a very good ad for them. I mean,
Hmm.
no, obviously not as good defensively as Key Bryant, but still got a 5 outs above average, which 92nd percentile. You're going to take that any day of the week.
Hmm.
He has a problem where he does strike out a lot. He does swing and a miss a lot, but he also does walk. It's not like he's not walking at all. He has a 12.3 walk percentage, so he's definitely doing a bit of both in terms of striking out and walking. But for a position that the Yankees desperately needed, they're getting a guy who can hit and field. They're getting a guy who can kind of do a bit of everything there for them.
Yeah, I was really sour on this trade for the Yankees when it first happened, and I'm really starting to come around for it. Like the more time passes, the more I like this move for the Yankees. The big thing was I didn't really like the fact that they. I'm pretty sure they took on the full deal of McMahon, which I still don't totally love, but I do think that McMahon has the potential to kind of outdo his current overall numbers, which he's sitting at like a 93 WRC plus. He hits the ball a lot better than that. It really just is the strikeout problem, I think. Like, this guy's 97th percentile in average exit velocity. Like, he hits the ball hard. He has a really good barrel rate. 12.8% barrel rate is in the 79th percentile. He hits the ball well. His expected slugging of 467 is the 67th percentile. His 346 expected WOBA is in the 66th percentile. Plus, he has good defense. This is probably like a 2.5, 3-win player, which the more I kind of talk to myself, I think that $16 million for this isn't really that bad. I would probably give this a B plus for the Yankees. I would probably give this I'd give it a B for the Yankees because I think it's a solid move. I do think that they could have probably gone the Suarez or Cabrian Hayes route, which I think I might have liked better for them. I'm not entirely sure. I think I might have liked Cabrian Hayes better just because he's that much better of a defensive player, but I also do think that McMahon probably has a higher upside than Hayes just because he has better batted ball numbers. And then also, like, Suarez was just the top third baseman on the market, but he does a little bit of everything for them. Like you said, they need a third baseman. They cut DJ LeMahieu. They moved Jazz back to second base. So it was like, it wasn't a matter of if they were going to get a third baseman. It was a matter of which one they were going to get.
Yeah.
Like, there was no doubt they were getting.
I think another reason why they might have went with McMahon over a guy like Suarez is obviously the rumored package for Suarez was going to be very high. And with them already saying that they weren't going to trade Spencer Jones or Lombard, it's kind of like either they didn't approach the Mariners knowing that they were getting priced out, or maybe the Mariners straight up asked for one of those guys and they just said they're not going to do it. So that might be why they pivoted to McMahon. But either way, if that's your pivot and that's your consolation prize, I think if you're a Yankee fan, you're really happy with that.
It's not bad. I don't really know how much value McMahon had overall. Obviously, the Rockies ended up getting Griffin Herring, who was the 8th ranked prospect in the Yankee system, and Josh, I do not know how to say his last name. I apologize, Mr. Josh. Josh Gross, I hope I'm saying his name right.
I believe that's what it is.
It's SZ at the end, so I don't know how that goes, but he was the ranked 21st prospect in the Yankee system. This is not a crazy haul to give up for McMahon, but also in the Rockies situation here, he is owed a little bit of money over the next couple of years. He's owed $16 million next year and $16 million 2027, plus the remainder.
I think they're retaining some of this year though.
Oh, they're
Colorado.
Yeah. Well, they already paid him about $12 million this year.
Oh yeah, so I guess it's just prorated then.
Yeah. Like the Yankees are paying whatever for the rest of the year, but they're also going to pay the rest of the contract that the Rockies haven't paid yet.
Okay.
So I don't hate getting off of that for the Rockies, but I also I don't trust the Rockies to spend that money well. So I think that might
or at all.
Yeah, that might not get to like a B minus for me. I originally really liked this trade for the Rockies and not so much for the Yankees, and I've been shifting in the opposite direction. The more time passes, the more I really like this for the Yankees, and the less I kind of like it for the Rockies. But yeah, solid move for them. Also good lefty bat too. It's not like they don't have any lefties in their lineup. Like they have Bellinger, they have Ben Rice. They also do have a lot of righty power, but just another guy to help split the lineup a little bit. Good move overall for them, and also addresses defense that they desperately needed.
Yeah.
Again, some metrics seem to be kind of all over the place when it comes to the Yankees in terms of their defense. Like, I know defensive runs saved really likes them. I think when we did the last episode, they were like 6th in DRS, and I think they were like 20th in outs above average. I don't know how that's changed over the past week, but that alone kind of tells you how much of a difference there is between each one. But regardless, they kind of needed it because they also just weren't getting any production from their third baseman anyways. Even not just LeMahieu, like granted, they did trade Oswald Peraza, but he wasn't giving them anything either. He was giving them fuck all at third base.
And this is kind of where the eye test will also tell a different story, because I'm not a believer in one or the other. I don't think it's either strictly eye test or strictly analytics. I do think you need to use both to a certain extent. And from watching the Yankees recently, I can see that they've lost games because of their defense. They've thrown away games making stupid errors, stupid plays that allowed more runs to score, and they just can't get them back. And obviously now with McMahon, with his defense and his offense, he could be the guy to get those back for them
Mm-hmm.
or help.
Yeah, he could be.
But
It's gonna help shore them up. It's gonna help shore them up there, especially. Um, yeah, like that was a position where they needed it because they had Jazz playing there for so long, and he's just not a third baseman. He's an up the middle guy. I think even he said that one time, like I'm a second baseman, man. Or maybe
yeah,
I'm making that up. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I remember seeing that too. I just want to talk about the Rocky side of things really quick. Obviously, Griffin Herring is pretty solid lefty down there. He in 16 starts in the minors this year. He's held just a 1.71 ERA, 10.28 strikeouts per 9 innings, 363 walks per 9, and just .3 home runs per 9, which is really good. I don't know how he's going to play in cores. I don't really know how much I love the Rockies getting two pitching prospects because we know that the Rockies just can't develop pitchers.
yeah,
Um, I really do hope for their sake that he turns out really well, and he has all the promise in the world to turn out well. According to Fangraphs, he has a 55 grade slider, 55 grade command, and okay changeup and fastball as well.
yeah.
So
The one thing with him though is that his fastball, as of right now, I believe maxes out at about 94.
mm,
So you're gonna hope that maybe he can get a couple more miles per hour on that and really kind of turn into a solid back end starter. I don't think this is a guy that you're going to rely on to be a number one, two, or even three, but could be a pretty damn good 4 or 5 in the next couple of years.
yeah, that's something that you're definitely hoping for. Josh Gross, I'm not too crazy about. He's been very just like okay in the minors for the Yankees.
Yeah,
He's not really someone that moves me. And I think that's why he was thrown into more of a trade like this, as opposed to getting someone more high end. Again, Gross just really doesn't move me that much, but I do have to say I think getting Herring for McMahon is a pretty good get for the Rockies. So I'm probably going to give it
yeah,
overall. I think I already said my grades, but if I change them, whatever, I'm going to give this a B plus for the Yankees. I'm going to give it a B for the Rockies. What do you think?
I got B plus for the Yankees well, but I'm gonna go C. Yeah, I'm gonna go C for the Rockies. I don't think it's necessarily bad the return. It's just like you said. What are they gonna do with that money? They got pitchers. They didn't get hitters. It's just that's the big question. What are they going to do with the money they save from Ryan McMahon? If they go out and use it to help the team get better, I don't know exactly what they're going to do in free agency. And obviously, we're going to have an episode way closer to free agency where we talk about that more. But I just I don't know really what this does for them other than save the money. So it's really all just dependent on what they do with the money.
Yeah, if it was a team like San Diego shedding payroll, I would be confident that they would probably reinvest that money.
Exactly. Exactly.
Reinvest that money well. I just don't really trust the Rockies to do that. Even if it was like Atlanta, I would probably trust them to do a solid job reinvesting that money. I just don't really trust the Rockies to do a good job of that. Actually, what did I say? B minus for the Rockies, or did I say B? I don't remember. I'm pushing it.
I think you said B minus.
B minus. I'm pushing it to C plus.
Yeah.
The more I say it, the less I like it. The next move we have is Randall Grichuk getting traded to the Kansas City Royals. Now, we obviously talked a good amount about the Royals when we were talking about the Lugo extension, but this was a team that I did not really expect to buy. Now, again, they didn't hardcore buy, they didn't go for Suarez or anything like that. They went a lot more low-key. There's another move that they made we're going to get to a lot later that I really like for them. This move was interesting, and I kept saying to myself, I was like, what is the point of this move? Now, Grichuk really, he's a fourth outfielder. That's really what he is at this stage of his career, and he's kind of there a little bit more to hit lefties. He only has a 104 WRC plus against lefties this year, but he also has an 84 WRC plus versus righties. Like, he's very just like okay of a player right now. But with that being said, Kansas City, the guy that gave up, Andrew Hoffman, he's pitched a little bit of the major league level this year, only a couple games. He's pitched mostly in the minors. at AAA this year, and he's been actually pretty solid for the Royals. So I gotta say that here's the other thing, right? The Royals, I think, what they seem to be trying to do is they want guys who can help them probably a little bit next year and like the year after as well. Randall Grichuk, I'm not really sure how much he does that for you because he's going to turn 34 in like 2 weeks. He has a mutual option for 2026, which I am not totally sure if that's going to get picked up because, I mean, how often do we actually see mutual options get picked up? Also, I don't really know if you would want to pay him $5 million next year. Maybe they re-sign him for less. I don't exactly know, but I don't really know what this does for the Royals. It's a really weird move. Granted, it's not like they gave up a ridiculous piece for him. The guy they gave up is 25 years old. He's just now making his major league debut. But with that being said, to talk about the Diamondbacks side of it, I actually do really like it for the Diamondbacks. He has a lot of strikeout potential. He has struck out a lot of guys in AAA this year, almost 12 and a half strikeouts per nine, while not walking very many guys as well, 225 walks per nine, while allowing less than a home run per 9 innings. That is actually pretty good. He has also had a lot of time in the minor leagues where he looked like a pumpkin. Like last year across his minor league levels, he had an ERA over 6. In 2023, it was 5.5. So this guy does not have an established track record of being a really, really good pitcher across the minors. He's been good this year, so I think that gives him something to look at. But if I'm the Royals, I'm not totally kicking myself over Andrew Hoffman, but I do have to say, I think the fact that you got someone who maybe he's something, right? Maybe he ends up being nothing, but at the end of the day, you traded a like a 33, 34-year-old like fourth outfielder, so it's not really too crazy of a move. If I have to give this a grade, I'm probably giving this a C for the Royals, and I'm giving it a B plus for the Diamondbacks. Again, Grichuk was a guy who I didn't really think was going to net anything at all, and they netted someone who at the very least has been really good in the minors this year and has, who knows, maybe he has an outside shot of being good. But again, if I'm the Royals, I give it a C because it's a really weird move. I don't understand why they did it because I don't really think that he's going to help you too much next year. Even if you accept the option, he's just not that great, and you can probably get a better fourth outfielder in free agency whenever that hits.
I mean, I agree on the grades there. I think that Hoffman is kind of in the same boat as Garcia, who they also got in one of their trades, where 25 years old is just scratching the surface with a little bit of major league experience. I say little, and I stress little. It's been
a whole 4 innings of major league experience.
That's what I mean. But I mean, like, he actually has seen the major league level, meaning that they're clearly progressing. Their previous teams clearly liked what they saw in their development, and this one being a right-handed, whereas Garcia was left-handed. I think that's just, a solid move for a guy that's just not going to be on the team. Like, Grichuk, getting anything for him is obviously good, especially a guy who can project to be in your rotation next year.
Yeah.
Or not, yeah.
Your bullpen. I know what you meant.
Or bullpen, yeah.
Yeah, because he's kind of
just be with your major league staff. Yeah, but I was more so just getting at could be like in your major league staff.
Could be on the roster. Yeah. I get you. Yeah, I like it for the Diamondbacks. I think that given the actual status of what Randall Grichuk actually is, it's a good return. But I give it a C for the Royals because I don't really know what this does. I don't really think that this really provides them that much depth. Like, it's just kind of like they just got another body. You know what I mean? Like, Grichuk is a replacement level player. He has exactly 0 WAR according to Fangraphs this year. Has a 97 WRC plus, which is just a little bit below league average, and then even as a defensive player, has a -3 defensive runs saved and -2 outs above average. So, like, he's just like very
I just think it plays into the injuries that the Royals have. They have a bunch of their outfielders who are hurt, and their current outfielders on the roster included Kyle Isbell and John Rave, who, nothing special. I think adding a veteran like Richick, who has some very good underlying numbers. If you look at his Savant page, you can see how he's in the red for almost everything.
That's true.
He just hasn't been able to get the luck. He hasn't been able to get them to fall. Maybe the change of scenery helps. Maybe playing a different role can help here in Kansas City. I don't know. I'm not gonna just bank on him being, some really good player that's gonna change the team, but I think he's better than what they had with what they were playing.
Hmm. I think the big thing with Gritch is it's really I don't really like his swing decisions. He actually pulls the ball a decent amount, which is like actually kind of like really good. But like you said, he does like kind of he gets a decent amount of barrels. It hasn't really amounted to anything. But I think the big problem is his swing decisions. He chases nearly a third of the pitches he sees. He has a 31.4% chase rate and just a 5.4 walk percentage. That tells me that he isn't really disciplined up there at the plate. And I felt a certain way about him when he was in Toronto, but um, yeah, really it just tells me his swing decisions aren't too great. I just don't really, again, for me, this doesn't really do anything for the Royals this year or next year, so I just don't get the point of the move. That's why I give it a C, and then I just like the return for the
Yeah.
so that's why I give it a B plus for them. I don't really think, unless you have anything else to say about the move, I don't really think that there's much more to say there. Next up, we have Ahmed Rosario to the Yankees. Now, this one was a little interesting because obviously their big thing was they needed defense, and they got it with Ryan McMahon, and then they got Ahmed Rosario, who he hits lefties a lot better. So he has a 130 WRC plus against left-handed pitching this year, 829 OPS. Excuse me. So I don't know if he might help. I'm sure he'll be stuck in there a little bit more against left-handed pitchers. Maybe help get McMahon a day off here and there, whoever else. He can play a decent few positions. But the thing is, he's not a good defensive player at pretty much any position.
You're not getting him for his defense, that's for sure.
That's the thing. And that's why this trade feels a little bit weird to me. Because Rosario, like, you wanted defense, and then Ahmed Rosario is like the antithesis of that. He is just not a good defender anywhere, and granted, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of times where he just comes off the bench to hit lefties. That wouldn't surprise me if that was his primary role. That probably will be a good chunk of what his role is. But at the same time, the Yankees didn't really give up anything too crazy. They did give up Clayton Beeter, who was their 20th prospect in their system. They also gave up Brown Martinez, Brown with an M and not an N, who I don't believe was ranked in the top 30 according to Pipeline.
No.
But yeah, for the Yankees, I will give it a B because, again, you didn't really give up anything. This is a guy who can play a pretty solid role off your bench. He can sit pretty well in a platoon lineup. A lefty masher is always really valuable to have. Like, we know how many teams were going after Ramon Laureano. We know, what's his name? Tommy Pham was in trade talks a lot this deadline. Suarez,
another guy.
Suarez is not just a lefty masher, but a big-time right-handed bat. Those are always very valuable, even like in the last couple of years. Like, do you remember when Teoscar was on the Mariners and a lot of people were talking about him? Hell, people were talking about Tommy Pham that deadline too, actually. So, this type of player is pretty good for a contending team, just as good depth. I don't love his defense, obviously, but he's going to come in. He's probably going to play mostly against lefties anyways. So when you're facing majority righties, he's not going to get enough playing time where I think the defense is going to hurt you too much. And you can put him at enough places on defense that you can feel like you just have an okay enough guy out there. Like, you can.
He's flexible. He gives you flexibility.
He's flexible. Like, I wouldn't want to put him in the outfield, but he has played a decent amount of outfield in his career. He's played a little bit more right field. He played almost 200 innings there last year. He's played a little bit of left field. Don't put him anywhere near center field, respectfully. He's already a mediocre defender. Don't put him in center. Obviously, he played a lot of shortstop, albeit he wasn't a good defender there, but he has played there. So if you need someone to fill in for a game, I think you can feel confident enough doing that. And then obviously, he's kind of moved over to third base, second base, which, again, a very versatile guy. He's a utility man. That's pretty much just what they traded for. They traded for a utility man.
And I think Beater's a solid pitcher, but with some of the pitchers that they got in this deadline, I feel like there wasn't really the need for him anymore, and they felt the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So I could 100% see why that was that was done.
Where that was a move they would make. Yeah, and the thing is
Yeah.
with Beater, like I understand he was their 20th ranked prospect, which albeit isn't really that high in their system. He's 26. Like he doesn't have.
Yeah.
I don't think Beater has that much more room to grow. Um, like in the minors this year, he hasn't been that great. Albeit he has struck out a lot of guys. He's also walked a fuck ton of guys too. Um, like he's shown to be like okay at times in the minors. He's shown to be really good. He's also shown times in the minors he's been really bad. He's been really up and down. He's also 26. Like
Yeah.
he turns 27 in October. Like he's kind of old for a prospect. So I don't.
Yeah, but for a team like Washington, who is also in kind of a weird spot right now, which that's a complete other story at this point. I don't know what's going on there. I mean, I think that's, I don't want to say it's a nothing trade, but it's kind of, I don't think that changes the trajectory of either team.
Yeah, it really doesn't too much. I'm gonna give it a B minus for the Yankees. Because you didn't really give up too much. And you got a guy who can help you a little bit. He can be a solid depth option.
Yeah.
He's nothing more than that. For the Nationals, I'm going to give it a C plus. I actually like. I think Brown Martinez can be okay. Obviously, we don't have too much on him. He has played like not even 60 games in the Dominican Summer League over this year and last year. This year, albeit it's a really small sample size, it's like 70 plate appearances. He's hitting like 400 in the Dominican Summer League. I don't really think that jumps off the page to me, but like he's 18, he's a project if anything. We're gonna have to wait, I think, like 2-3 years to understand what Martinez is going to actually be. But there is a ceiling there, I'm sure, for him. Maybe Beater ends up in the Nationals pen or rotation next year, then 2 years from now, or something like that. There's a chance of major league impact for one of these two probably, and Rosario just wasn't a super valuable player anyway, so I'll give it a C plus. I don't think it's that crazy of a move, and so yeah, I'll give it a B for the Yankees. So yeah, that's where I stand on that one.
Yeah, I agree with those grades.
The next one we have is Chris Paddock and Randy Dobnak. I hope I'm saying his name right, by the way, Dobnak.
I believe that's
to
what
the
it is,
Detroit
yes.
Tigers for minor league catcher Enrique. I might have actually typed his name. I typed his name wrong. Enrique Jimenez. Jimenez was the rank 14th prospect in the Tiger system. I think one thing that we said last week was that the Tigers, they didn't need front end starters like Tariq Skubal, even Casey Mize been good this year. They've had guys good at the front end. They needed depth starters. I think Paddock is okay. He's not particularly great. He does have pretty solid control. He doesn't walk guys. He's walking like just over 2 batters per 9 innings. His strikeout stuff isn't great, but I think over a larger like sample of innings that you get from a starting pitcher, you can get away with it a little bit more. The thing is, he gets hit a little bit hard, and he also has a little bit of a concerning thing in the fact that not very many balls are on the ground. He allows a decent amount of liners and fly balls. One thing that isn't great is almost a fifth of his batted balls are in the air to the pull side. We know, I said this last week, and obviously you and I know, we've heard it, we've said it a bunch of times, hitters who pull the ball in the air are going to get the best results. Especially it makes up for maybe poor exit velo. It's going to help you outperform your expected stats because that's just the easiest batted ball to maximize value on. Chris Paddock allows a decent amount of those, and he kind of has throughout his whole career. Nearly a fifth of those batted balls going that way isn't too great, especially for someone who gets hit hard anyways. 44.7% hard hit rate against him isn't too great. He doesn't really get whiffs. 20th percentile whiff rate. Again, he doesn't walk guys. Like the ball, you are not going to have to worry about him losing the zone and walking a bunch of guys, and then your pitch count is at 90 in the 4th inning, right? You're not going to have to worry about that with Chris Paddock. Now, with that being said, he is a back-end starter. He is not a front-end starter. The Tigers were never looking... Sorry, I shouldn't say that because I'm not in the front office. I don't know. I don't think that the Tigers were ever looking for a front-end starter. That's not what they're going to ask out of Chris Paddock. Hell, Chris Paddock might not even be in the playoff rotation for them. He might end up going into a bulk role. In which case, I wonder if he'd be more effective there. But I think for what they're looking for, might end up being okay for them. The thing with Chris Paddock is, obviously he isn't expiring, so he was never going to command anything crazy, and it's like the 14th prospect in their system. So again, not a ridiculous return. Randy Dobnak he's pitched like 5 innings in the majors this year. He is currently in the minor leagues. He's reporting for their AAA team right now. So this piece doesn't really do much for me, especially considering when he's been at the major league level, he hasn't really been that good anyways. He was good in 2019, but that was 6 years ago. So I don't really see too much here for the Tigers, to be totally honest, but I also don't
think it hurts them either.
It didn't really hurt them. I'd probably say a C+, because I think Paddock can have some upside.
For sure.
But I also don't think he's, like, realistically, I don't think he's that good, but he has upside. I think his ERA is a little bit higher than his expected ERA. I think it's like 0.3 higher, I think. And even then, like, according to his FIP, it suggests that maybe his results should be a little bit closer to like a low 4 ERA than almost 5 ERA. But at the same time, like, this is the lowest ERA he's had since 2022, and even that was 4. 2023, albeit it was 5 innings, it was only 2 appearances out of the bullpen. I'm not really going to count that too much. But even last year, in 88 and a third innings, his ERA was 5. You know what I mean? He doesn't really have the strikeout stuff that he used to. Not that he was ever a ridiculous strikeout pitcher, but the combination of low strikeouts, low whiffs, low chase rate, and him getting hit hard a decent amount, I don't really love it. But good location. If he can keep the ball in the yard a little bit more, maybe it can work out as just an innings eater for them. So I'll give it a C+ for them because they didn't really give up too much. And as for the Twins, they really gave up a not great starting pitcher and someone who is quite literally not on their major league roster. And they got a okay catching prospect. Again, didn't rank super high in the Tiger system. He was their 14th prospect. But he has a little bit of upside. He's been an above average bat at pretty much every stint in the minors he's been in so far since entering the Tiger system in 23 when he played Dominican Summer League. He has really, really good plate discipline. He walks a good amount too. Over his whole like minor league career, he's always had good walk numbers. This year in the minor leagues, he walks just under 13% of the time. Despite hitting just 247, his on base is like 342, which maybe there's something there. Maybe he can just be like an okay enough offensive catcher whenever he gets to the bigs. He's only 19, so who knows? But we'll see on that. He's not really projected to hit the majors for like another 5 years or so. So that's really one that's weird, and we don't quite know. So it's a roll of the dice, I guess. Kind of, because he's not. I don't really think he's crazy, but yeah.
I mean, I'd probably give this just like a C plus for both teams. Like maybe like a B- C+ for the Tigers because they did bolster the rotation a little. Obviously, they, like you said, wasn't a top end starter, but when you have Scuball, you have Casey Mize, you're not really looking for a guy that has to be that guy. And Flaherty too, who is also on that team. So you're getting a guy who's a 3 or 4.
Yeah,
you're probably
already. Also banking on Flaherty to be better. I don't think that if you're the Tigers, you're expecting him to be as bad as
that's what I mean.
Especially because he was actually really good for a while at the start of the season, and he had a couple starts in a row where he just fell apart.
And obviously with Charlie and Morton too, that kind of takes the load off the guys.
True. Yeah, that as well. The next one we have is Danny Jansen to the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, they got a infielder in high A. I don't know how to say this guy. There's a lot of names here I don't know how to say. I apologize to any of the people here. Jader Arenamo. He is a high A infielder that the Rays got for Danny Jansen. Now, they did do a corresponding move. That's going to be the next move that we talk about. But in terms of this move alone, pretty solid. I think we can
group these two.
Yeah, we can group these two. Okay, so we'll rank this as like okay, we'll rank it as this. Okay, so the Rays, they got that infielder I just mentioned, Arenamo. He's a high A infielder. I don't think he was ranked in the Brewers top 30, but I think he's like the 25th Rays prospect right now. And then they also got Nick Fortes from the Marlins, who they traded minor league outfielder Matthew Etzel for. He was the Rays' 28th prospect, according to Pipeline. So the Brewers, they get Danny Jansen. We'll talk about this from the Brewers side first. Um, Bolstering your backstop is never a bad thing. Danny Jansen has been pretty good this year. You're not looking for him to be a ridiculous impact bat, especially considering you have William Contreras, who, albeit, hasn't quite been William Contreras this year, but again, that's a guy I think that you're banking on. You're betting, you can say, he's going to be better than what he's been. So I think that makes a move for a guy like Danny Jansen a little bit better. He has been just slightly below league average on offense this year at 97 WRC+. Overall, this year he's put up a .6 WAR, according to Fangraphs, excuse me. And he isn't a great framer. He's a really good defensive catcher in terms of blocking pass balls and wild pitches and all that. In terms of blocks above average, he's in the 95th percentile. But on the other end of the coin, he's second percentile in framing, which is ridiculously important for a catcher. I think really what they're doing here is Jansen does have some offensive upside. He makes good swing decisions. The thing is, he whiffs and he strikes out a decent... Sorry, he doesn't whiff a super a lot. He's like a middling whiff guy, but he does strike out a decent bit. He doesn't chase, and we've seen him before have really good stretches of power. So, not a bad get for the Brewers in terms of depth. What do you think about this for the Brewers?
The Brewers, I like that a lot because obviously they have Contreras already as their catcher. So that's going to put, they're not expecting Jansen to be an everyday starter. I don't really get this from the Rays, though, because yes, it's a slight upgrade defensively because Fortes obviously is a better framer and is better at throwing runners out, but it's just Fortes' offensive output is almost non-existent. At least with Jansen, you're getting a guy who can hit some home runs. And when your starting catcher is Matt Dice, it's not like you're set on catcher in... Like, I don't personally understand it from the Rays' perspective. I don't think they improved at their catching position. And I don't think they gave up a lot, but I think that's just a weird side grade.
I like it a lot more for the Rays than you do, I guess.
Yeah?
Obviously, Fortes is not a hitter. That's not a secret.
No.
267 xWOBA is kind of gross, kind of disgusting. Kind of want to barf hearing that number. But he is a really good defensive catcher. He is the 94th percentile for blocks above average, which I think is like just barely below where Jansen ranked. He is a much, much better framer than Jansen. He ranks in the 71st percentile right there. The other thing that I think really... why I think the Rays probably pivoted to him over Jansen is he has a lot more control. He's not a free agent until after the 2028 season, and he's just only now going to become arbitration eligible, whereas Danny Jansen was going to hit free agency at season's end. That's why I probably think the Rays did it, and I don't really think that they gave up much either. Obviously, they got the prospect from Milwaukee, and they gave up the one going to Miami. Neither one, I think, is so significant that they alter the deal for me. I'm going to talk about the Marlins perspective really quick. I actually don't love it for the Marlins because I don't really think that Etzel is that good. And I think that, again, although Fortes isn't really a good offensive catcher, I think that defense is so important at catcher, and he is good at that. With that, plus his control, I think you could have got something a little bit better than him. Than the 25th? He was the 28th prospect in the Rays system. I don't really love it for the Marlins. For the Brewers, I like it. For the Rays, I like it. For the Marlins, I don't. I would probably give it a... I'm going to give it a B plus for the... I'm going to give it a B plus for the Brewers. I'm going to give it a B plus for the Rays. I'm going to give this a C minus for the Marlins. Because that's the side I really don't like. Because you gave up a good defensive catcher with control for a prospect that I don't really think is that good. That's where I stand on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably have to say for Milwaukee, I'll give them a B plus. For the Rays, I'll say B minus, C plus. Like again, I don't think it's bad. I don't really understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But and the Marlins, I'll give like a C plus as well. Like again, it's just they're getting rid of it. Fortes clearly wasn't part of their plans for the future.
Mm-hmm.
That's no secret.
Mm-hmm.
So getting something that could be something for him, just a prospect that is obviously ranked in a system, you can't be too upset with it. And
Yeah, I
yeah,
think I think really what it was for the Rays is that they just wanted someone who obviously again catcher at defense is not super easy to get and is obviously really important. I think what it was
right,
is they wanted someone who they could rely on. All right, we're gonna have him for the next couple of years. We can reliably put him there. He's gonna be a good framer. He's gonna block a good amount of balls. This and that, right? I think that's really what it was for the Rays. It's just like a future thing. It's not necessarily a this year thing. It's the type of thing that we see like them and Cleveland. We've seen do it a lot where they get that controllable guy who maybe doesn't jump off the page, but he's just solid. I think that's kind of what it was for
yeah.
the Rays. But yeah, I think that's enough for this trade. You know who's next, Ethan? You know who's next?
This one I'm actually really excited to talk about.
Yup. All right. So this one, the Toronto Blue Jays acquired right-handed pitcher Seranthony Dominguez from the Baltimore Orioles in exchange for right-handed pitcher Warren Watts Brown. I hope I said his first name right.
I think it's Duran.
It's Jaron Watts Brown. I'm really bad with names, especially with prospects. He was the 10th prospect in their wait, did I read that? Yeah, the 10th best prospect in their system. Um, I'll let you start with this one. I started with all the other ones. I'll let you take it away
Yeah.
with this one.
So Watts Brown, I remember having a conversation with somebody not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, and I was saying how this is one of my more underrated prospects in the J system. I just really liked him coming out of college and didn't start off the best in 24 after he got drafted, but he really started to turn things around in 25 at both the single A and double A level. I thought that this is a guy that obviously he's 23 right now who could possibly be making a couple starts, whether it's due to injury or whatever, by 26, 27 ish. Obviously, that shifted once our farm system got better with guys like Savage, the emergence of guys like Steven, who did get traded, Johnny King, Stanifer, and obviously others. But the fact that you're getting a guy like Sir Anthony Dominguez, who has already pitched 2 innings for the Blue Jays and 2 big spots and looked unbelievable,
Yep.
just getting strikeouts, putting the batters on edge and just basically not allowing them to do anything, allowing one base runner, which was a hit by pitch on a pitch that just got away from him. Obviously, that's not a big sample size, but we've seen Sir Anthony Dominguez, what he could do in the playoffs with Philly, and he's fun to watch in these high leverage situations. I think this is a great trade for Toronto. And for Baltimore, I think they're getting a solid pitcher too. It's not like they gave him up for nothing. I think this is one of those win-win trades. I think this is probably like A minus for the Jays and a B plus A minus for the Orioles too.
Yeah, I agree with you right there. Seranthony Dominguez, he strikes out a lot of guys. That is especially valuable in a bullpen role. Strikes out just under 12 per 9 innings. I don't remember which prospect pitcher we were talking about at the start. That we were saying he strikes out a lot. It might have been one of the Mariners or Yankees ones I don't remember, where he strikes out a lot of guys but he also walks a good amount of guys. You can get away with something like that in a bullpen role, and Dominguez actually shows that really well. He does actually have a problem with walks. He walks almost 5 batters per 9, but he's able to be so effective because he strikes out so many guys. And the other thing is, he actually has pretty kind of okay batted ball numbers. He keeps the ball in the yard. He allows less than a home run per 9 innings. It's .82. His average exit velocity is in the 92nd percentile. His barrel rate is in the 68th percentile. His hard hit rate is in the 88th percentile. So on top of getting a lot of whiffs, getting a lot of chase, getting a lot of strikeouts overall, he doesn't get hit very hard either. So I don't think that he's going to be super prone to these blow-ups where they're hitting everything 95. It's off the wall. This one's out of the yard. That one's up the middle. This one's in the left. Um,
Yeah.
I don't really think he's going to be prone to very many of those, especially since Loki, our closer, Jeff Hoffman, kind of has a home run problem this year.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but
but one thing I do like as well is the Jays are getting a guy who can throw pretty hard too. 98 miles an hour he throws, and that's just very useful, especially when a lot of the guys are topping out at 95, 96.
mm-hmm.
For a team that's one of the few teams that don't have guys that have hit 100 miles an hour this year, pretty much. I think that adding a flamethrower, and I say flamethrower, but obviously not a flamethrower in the sense of 101, 102, but flamethrower is in
I mean, his
could still
fastball,
touch 98,
his
99. Yeah,
fastball velo is 94th percentile. I think it's pretty safe to say
exactly,
flamethrower. So,
exactly.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good one for Toronto. I probably agree with you. I'd give it an A- for them. And also, again, for the Orioles, Watts Brown's a pretty good prospect.
yeah.
He, um, again, he gets a good amount of strikeouts. He actually doesn't walk too many guys, or at least he didn't when he was in High A. Obviously, he's walked a little more in Double A this year, and last year in the minors, he was walking a decent amount of guys. If he can keep the walks down, then I actually think he profiles really well as a pitcher at the major league level. So this could end up being a really good trade for the Orioles as well. Obviously, if Dominguez leaves, it might hurt a little bit, but I think regardless for the rest of the season, Toronto needed pitching. Um, Ideally, I think they would have wanted starting pitching, but again, you never hurts to get a reliever. I think they probably needed a reliever or two anyways. We'll get to the starting pitching ad they did later, but
Yeah.
it also
Plus, I don't. Yeah, I don't think the Orioles' pitching prospects are necessarily overwhelming. Like, I don't think they've got guys that are kind of like this guy's going to be a stud.
yeah.
So to just kind of add into that and get a guy like this who could potentially be like a 3, 4, 5 in the next couple of years, I think you're definitely happy with that. If you're an Orioles fan or you're with the Orioles front office, you're definitely happy with that return.
I think he's definitely going to be a starter whenever he hits the bigs. He
Yeah,
actually his slider
for
and
sure.
curveball, according to Fangraphs, are both 60 grade pitches, which is pretty good. Those are both above average.
Yeah,
So especially given he's like a 45 grade changeup, which is just a little bit below average. His fastball doesn't grade out very well, according to Fangraphs, as a 40 grade pitch.
it's just the command. If he
All
can improve on that,
if
then
he
you're looking at a
exactly if he
pretty
can
good pitcher. Yeah.
if he can improve his command, especially with how good his breaking pitches are going to play, he's going to be a good starting pitcher. And so I actually do like this for the Orioles. I'm going to give this. I'm going to be a little more generous than you. I'm going to give him an A.
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna give this an
bump it.
A.
I was gonna say I'm gonna bump it up to an A minus
I'm
A
gonna give this an A.
from the
Actually,
B
I like
plus.
this for the
Yeah.
Orioles. I do like it for Toronto as well. Toronto is in a position I think where you need to go for it right now.
It's one of those trades where both teams are benefiting for the kind of situation they're both in.
exactly this is the most
Jays
all. This is
yeah.
the most all or not the most all in they've went because they've definitely had harder, like bigger deadline pushes before. But this is the best they've been around the deadline in how long? Probably since like
Yeah.
in the last 5-6 years is the best team they've had at deadline time. I don't think that
Yeah.
that's particularly arguable either.
No.
Like in terms of like where they sit amongst the rest of the league. I'm not talking strictly talent because the 21 team,
Right.
respectfully, they kind of shit on this team in terms of talent because that team is ridiculous. But probably the
Brad
best team.
Hand.
Brad, don't talk to me about Brad Hand, man.
I don't even want.
I don't want to remember that. This is probably the best like position they've sat in at the deadline since I don't know, like 2016 maybe, which is crazy, almost 10 years.
Yeah. That's another thing. I obviously wanted the Jays to do more, but at the end of the day, what's the smarter thing? Like obviously the team's good enough right now to the point where they're gonna. I don't want to say cruise into the playoffs because that's just not a reasonable thing to say about any team at any point, unless it's like a unique case. But a team that's looking destined to be playing postseason baseball this year again. After the year off last year, they took a little vacation from it, but
Just decided to take it off.
yeah, let the other teams have a chance. But I get it swept in the walk around. But anyways, yeah, I mean, you definitely didn't need to trade mortgage your entire farm system just to get guys that were. The Jays are in a position where they know they're going to be able to spend money in the offseason, so you can definitely get some guys there. And obviously, this is all being done without Santander, which is the big free agent signing from the last offseason, who is under contract for more than just this year. So it's not like that's just completely done. So you really didn't have to trade your entire system, and the fact that the Jays got the players who they got for what they gave up, I really don't think it's that bad looking back.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid trade, I think, for both sides. Again, I'll give it an A minus for Toronto, I'll give it an A for Baltimore. Next trade we have Austin Slater to the New York Yankees for right-hander Gage Zeal. He's a high A right-handed pitcher. He's going to the White Sox. He was the Yankees' 18th prospect. I personally don't have very much to say about this trade. Slater
Yeah, like
is a depth outfielder who hits lefties well. This is like a B minus for them. Probably, what would I give this for the White Sox? I think that, I mean, like, the prospect they got back isn't that great, but also Slater didn't have really much value. C plus. There you go. B minus for the Yankees. C plus for the White Sox.
We don't need to sit here and spend 15 minutes talking about a trade like this. No offense to either guy. It's just there's some bigger moves, and honestly, we don't want like a 6-hour episode here. But I definitely
some
would have
trades
to
aren't
agree.
worth talking about that much. Like they get a guy who can come off the bench, hit lefties. That's kind of it. That's I think really all there is to say about Austin Slater. He's played 200 innings in the outfield. He doesn't really play there anymore. Doesn't play there anymore. He just doesn't really get that much consistent time. So
right.
This move I think is a little more interesting because, excuse me, this is Andrew Chafin and Luis Garcia to the LA Angels. I was not expecting them to do something like this. I was expecting them to kind of soft sell. They went and they low-key tried to buy a little bit, like a little bit.
Yeah, it's the same thing that we say and ask and wonder every year with the Angels. What is the plan here? I don't think this is a bad move, but it's like, what's going on with this team? Are they finally going to make the postseason again? Who knows? They're 4 back of a playoff spot as we're recording this. It's definitely in reach, but it's the Angels. They haven't proved that they're able to kind of come back from being a couple games down and make a push in the second half of the season to make the postseason. This isn't like it's a common thing for them to do, so it's just kind of really interesting what they made the team better. The bullpen's better now, but I don't know what that says about the future, what it does, what it says about the trajectory of this team. I mean, they still have the same problems that they had.
Because that's the thing is, these are both like this year moves, but I don't really think that this team is that great.
No, I don't know if it's...
Albeit they didn't really give up much, so I mean, I guess, like, why not? I don't think either of the prospects they gave up ranked in the team's top 30. Or at least not as far as I can tell. Maybe I'm missing it, but, like, neither of these guys they give up are too crazy. Chafin is pretty good. Luis Garcia is okay as well.
Is this a move that's going to make them lap the Rays, Royals, Guardians, and Rangers? I don't know. Like, I just can't... I don't want to say that. I don't want to give a definitive no, but I just don't think it's enough.
That's the thing is, like, it all comes down to the why, right? This is the kind of thing that I was saying when we were talking about the Grichuk to the Royals trade, was like, why? I don't really understand what this does for you, right?
But they don't have a terrible offense. It's the pitching that struggled, so maybe this can kind of stabilize the team a little.
Yeah, if it can help stabilize. Because really, here's the thing, right? The Sam Brown is a lot more worthwhile than Jake Eater. Jake Eater is pretty much, in my mind, he is a nothing piece. He has very limited time at the major league level, and even in the minor league levels, like, he hasn't been particularly effective at the minor league levels. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a nothing piece for the Nationals. Sam Brown is a 23-year-old, I believe he's 23. Yeah, 23-year-old first baseman in Double-A who doesn't have a power stroke. So if I'm the Angels, I'm also not concerned about him. Like, they didn't really give up anything, but I also don't understand what they're going for. Because I look at the Royals, right, and I see, okay, this is a team that clearly is trying to make moves for, like, next year, like 2026, 2027, because they want to compete then. For the Angels, I don't really get it, because you have to lap, 5 teams to get into a playoff spot, and you're 4 back. It's not impossible, but that's going to be tough to lap 5 teams.
Yeah.
Especially because some of these teams are damn nice, too.
Some of these teams got better. One of the teams that they're fighting for a wild card spot for right now is a team who could make I don't see why they can't make a push with Houston for the division. Seattle, at this point, they got so much better. Obviously, the Royals made some moves. The Rays made some moves. Like, it's not like they're the only team in the hunt that made a move to make them better. They got their work cut out for them. Just like I said about, I believe it was Kansas City before.
Mm-hmm.
but it's just who knows. I don't think that it's impossible for them to make the postseason, but it's just it's a big ask of them,
Mm-hmm.
especially with what the other teams did at the deadline compared to them.
Yeah. For the Angels, I'm probably gonna give this like a B minus because again, this does make your team better right now, and you didn't give up anything that. If I'm the Angels, I'm not worrying about either of these two guys. Jake Eater is
No,
not particularly that great. Sam Brown is a first baseman with no power. I'm not stressing about either one of these guys. I'm giving it a B minus for them. If I am the Nationals, I am giving it a. I don't really like this trade for the Nationals that much. I'm giving it a C minus because again, neither of these guys are that great. I think Andrew Chafin actually could have got you something okay. Because when I look at
yeah,
something like the Gregory Soto trade, I think they probably could have got a similar return that the Orioles got for Gregory Soto, which albeit it wasn't like a crazy trade, but I think you could have got a
but it's
team's.
better than this return.
Yeah, I think you could have
That's for
got like a
sure.
team's top 20 prospect, which again is not going to change the trajectory of your team, but let's say the 20th prospect in a team system or the 25th prospect in a team system probably could, you have a shot of, maybe in a few years this guy can be like a major league player for us of whatever impact, who knows, but could be something. That's why I don't really like this one as much for the Nationals because they got nothing worthwhile. In fact, one of the like I'm completely out on Jake Eater. Like he's just I don't think he's an effective piece. Um, like yeah, I don't like it for the Nationals. I think it's okay for the Angels. I just don't really understand why they would go this direction, but they didn't really give up anything, so I mean, who cares? So that's where I stand. B minus for the Angels, C minus for the Nationals. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna say probably the same. It's just one of those trades where we're just gonna have to see what happens.
Yeah. All right, this one is a little more interesting here. We got Brian Hayes going to the Cincinnati Reds for minor league shortstop Sammy Stafora and left-handed pitcher Taylor Rogers. Taylor Rogers ended up getting traded later. We'll talk about that actually when we get there, or maybe we could talk about it now. I'm not sure what you want to do, but
Whatever, we'll see
we'll
how.
talk about this
Yeah,
on its own right now. But Brian Hayes is interesting. Obviously, he was getting thrown all around the trade market. I think if I remember right, he was even getting thrown in trades in the off season, in discussions and such. Right? Obviously, he got the big extension. He's through deal through 2029. He has club options beyond that. This guy is not a hitter. He has a 57% WRC, not 57%, 57 WRC plus this season. Is not hitting. He ain't hitting anything. But on the other hand, this guy has a case that he's the best defensive infielder in all of baseball.
yeah. I was gonna say, for lack of a better term, he's a generational
He
defender,
is a generational defender. I
and
don't.
obviously you know how I feel about him
Oh yeah.
because we talked about it last episode where like I said, I'm not going to go too much into it again, but if he can get anywhere close to the hitting output that he gave in 2023, just unbelievable. Like, what a player that would be. Just get the OPS. Right now, it's sitting at about 570 the past two seasons. Just get it up like 650 if you can. I'm not even saying it needs to be 750, and you got a very solid baseball player
I
there.
think even if you get him to like an 86 WRC plus, that was the mark he posted in 2022.
Yeah.
He was a 3-win player that year, despite being 14% worse than the league average on
Could
offense.
you imagine what his WAR would look like if he had like a league average offensive output, like 100 WRC plus? What his WAR would be like?
His WAR
Wow.
would be at least like minimum double what it is right now. He would probably be a 2-win player right
Yeah.
now. He's currently a 1-win player so far in the season. His WAR would probably be 2. He'd be for a season like a 3.5 win player because his defense is that good. He is
That's
in
yeah.
the 99th percentile and outs above average at 15. For defensive runs saved, I'm pretty sure he has another insane number, 16 defensive runs saved. This guy's ridiculous. His lowest defensive run saved since he actually started regularly playing in 2021, the lowest number he's put up is 10.
Yeah, but I mean I really do like this for the Reds. I just feel like
Mm-hmm.
they're getting like it's such a low risk, high reward trade to me.
Because here's the thing, right? You gave up a minor league shortstop. Sammy Stafora is a shortstop. You have a guy there that blocks him. I think we all know his name. You
Yeah.
have a guy there who's probably going to keep. Now, granted, you always could have moved him to second later down the line or something, but you have Ellie playing shortstop right now, so you're not worrying about trading a shortstop. Plus, he was only like the 9th prospect in your system, so you're not really stressing about it. Hayes has a little bit of a ceiling. If he can even just be a 75 WRC plus player, that is really good value. I don't think his contract, if I'm remembering the number, I don't even think he's averaging like a 10 million AAV, which is really insane when you think about it. If he puts it together as a 75, 80 WRC plus player, he is getting paid no more. So for 2026, he's getting paid 7 million. 2027 is 7 million. 2028 is 8 million. 2029 is 8 million, and then 2030 he has a club option for 12 million. That's really
and
good.
the Reds also have a lot of solid infield prospects too.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that can help kind of soften the blow of losing Sammy Stafura. It's not like you're trading your top prospect. It's not like you're trading a position where you don't have enough of in the system. So it's definitely a move that makes sense. And for the Pirates, I mean, look, I know how much it must suck being a fan of a team that just refuses to spend like this. Like it must be awful. And I do feel for those fans because they have a hell of a fan base. You see what they can do in the playoffs when they were there the last time. I mean, they've got a very passionate fan base, and I just really hope the current ownership, Bob Nutting sells the team, and they actually get a competent owner in front office and bring postseason baseball back because obviously, great atmosphere, fun to. I mean, the whole Cueto thing where he dropped the ball and then the Russell Martin home run, one of the most iconic moments in his baseball history.
Yep.
So I just, clearly the fans want it, and that's the big thing. I mean, they got rid of that money. That's great, but I don't really trust this ownership to do anything with that money, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it's like the kind of the same thing that we were saying with the Rockies for Ryan McMahon. I don't
Yeah.
trust them that they're going to properly reinvest this money in like a good way.
No.
Also, this is not enough money to where I would say, oh, we got to dump this contract, this awful contract. He's not even making 10 million. He's not even making 9 million. Like he makes at most $8 million if you don't pick up the club option. In any given year, he makes at most $8 million. That's crazy. I don't know what the buyout is on the team option actually. It's a $6 million buyout. So worst case scenario, you pay him $6 million for the buyout, and he makes at most $8 million. For a guy with, again, if he even is 25% worse than league average, you're looking at maybe a 2.5 win player. For that kind of contract, I think is actually really good. I don't really understand why they had to dump it. In a sense, I don't really love this trade for that much for the Pirates. I really love it for the Reds because I think, again, there's a lot of upside there with Hayes. I think for me, what I would say for this trade for the Reds, I would probably give it an A-, maybe even an A, and I'd probably give this a C for the Pirates. I don't really like it.
I'd agree with the Pirates, a C plus, probably a C, but I'd go B plus, A- for the Reds. For sure.
I really
probably leaning closer to A than an A, than a B- though. So I'd go A-. But
they did also get Taylor Rogers in this deal. Who we'll talk about the Taylor Rogers trade now. Actually, let me scroll down to where he is on our thing.
Yeah, they already got rid of him, so it's kind of like that right there.
Yeah, so they traded him to the Cubs for outfielder Ivan Brethor. I don't know how to say his last name. Ivan, I apologize.
Yeah, because I'm sure all these guys are listening into this podcast, so we're totally sorry, obviously, in advance.
Listen, they got me on speed dial. They are.
Yeah.
Again, this is a guy who's long shot kind of prospect. He doesn't really have much of a power stroke. He does have actually pretty good plate discipline and walk numbers. He's walking over 16% of the time right now in high A, so that could be something.
Which is quite different from the other guy that got Sammy Stafura, who I noticed has a strikeout percentage of 25%.
Yeah,
so
it's quite different. It's quite different. He didn't rank in the Cubs top 30, so it's not anything crazy. But again, Taylor Rogers was also
he was not part of the plan for the Pirates.
Yeah, he's a rental. I believe he's a rental, right? Yeah, he's a
I believe so. Yeah,
he's a rental reliever. He's 34. He's not super valuable. He does kind of have a little bit of a walk problem this year. His walks per 9 are over 5. Granted, strikes out a decent amount of people, but that was never going to net you an insane return. For the Cubs, I will give this a B+ because this is a reliever with upside. For the Pirates, I will give it a B because I don't think Rogers had much value for you.
No.
And, Ivan, there's something there. I think the plate discipline is enough to say, you know what, this 34-year-old rental reliever, not coming back, let's take a shot. We'll see what happens. So, not a bad gamble. If it doesn't work out, you're not hurting yourself over 34-year-old Taylor Rogers who was on your team for a day. Do you think he gets a jersey retired?
No. I mean, there's definitely talks. I don't think he's gonna get the same kind of tribute Clemente got with the whole wall, but I definitely don't know if anyone's gonna be wearing his number though. That's for sure.
I think you could see a street named after him.
Maybe they just named the bridge out in the outfield after him. Actually, that's a possibility. That's what I heard.
Maybe you could. Now we have another Rogers trade here. We have Tyler Rogers to the New York Mets from right-handed pitcher Jose Butto, right-handed pitcher Blade Tidwell, and outfielder Drew Gilbert. Ethan, I'm going to let you lead on this one. What do you say?
First of all, I just wanna say something. Ask something? Is this the first time that two twins got traded in the same day in any major sport?
Ooh, I didn't even think about that. Ooh.
I feel like it has to be
because these trades were back to back too.
These were done very close apart.
I think I was just leaving work on Monday, I think, when Hayes got traded. I was on my way home, or maybe I was just about to leave, and then I was on my way walking to the subway station when the Tyler Rogers news broke, I think.
Yeah. Also bring back the old voice. Apparently they changed that to the TTC.
Listen, I was going to work on Wednesday, and I got on the subway, and it's this whole different dude. I don't know what the other voice was, the lady. Listen, bring her back. I don't know if she's gone for good. Yeah. Maybe it was just they couldn't get.
Hopefully she's on vacation. Maybe, she's out there in Cabo or something, just sipping some drinks by the beach.
Yeah, maybe they just couldn't get it going on Wednesday. But man, bring her back, man.
Yeah.
So this is a big price to pay for the Mets. They give up multiple, pretty notable prospects in their system. Tidwell was ranked as their 10th prospect. Drew Gilbert was ranked as their 12th prospect. And even outside of that, Jose Butto isn't necessarily that bad either. He's actually a current major league pitcher for them who is going to be under team control through the 2030 season. And he's been okay at the major league level. Only 167 innings of major league pitching, but a 3.45 ERA is not bad either. This is a big haul to give up. I gotta say, number one, Tyler Rogers is good, but here's the thing. He's 34, and he's a rental, and you gave up a lot to get him. He does make their bullpen a lot better. He does not walk guys. He is a elite contact manager. A 0.72 walks per 9, and I believe his home runs per 9 are sitting at about, 0.5 or so. Let me double check that number. Yeah, 0.54. This guy, he's going to really help their bullpen, and overall contact numbers, 99th percentile average exit velocity. On average, they're hitting it sub 85 miles an hour off the bat. He runs a ridiculous 64.4% ground ball rate. He just doesn't get strikeouts, but he's such a good contact manager and so good at not walking guys that it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a hefty price, man.
This is one of those trades, again, where it's just the Mets are getting a guy right now who's going to help them. And obviously, I mean, we're not going to talk about it right now. We'll obviously come to it you know what? I think we could talk about it right after the Helsley trade. But that's the thing. I mean, this is a team that's not afraid to spend money, so clearly, they're not going to be afraid to be very aggressive in free agency, the Mets. So, being able to get a guy like Rogers and Helsley, but in this particular trade, Rogers for prospects, I mean, again, it's a hefty price, but I don't think the Mets are too upset about having to pay that price for someone who's going to help them win now.
Yeah, I would agree. I do think at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do, but man, that's a big price. I got to say, for the Giants, hats off to the Giants. Let's give a round of applause to the Giants really quick for getting this kind of return for Rogers. Again, not that he's bad, but he's on the older side. He's a rental. He's a relief pitcher. and they got this kind of return for him. Hats off. This is an A+ for the Giants. I don't care. This is a ridiculous return. For the Mets, it is definitely an overpay, and you probably could have got more for this return, or for this like prospect package, but I'm going to give it a B- for the Mets. Rogers is really, 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 really good. Let me stress that. But this is a nuts package. This might be the single biggest package outside of like the Mason Miller and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This might be the single biggest
good.
rental package of the whole deadline. Which is kind of crazy considering some of the other players that got traded.
Yeah, also, I think it's a good time to mention a very funny tweet that I remember from the Syracuse Mets back in May, showing Blade Tidwell being the ERA leader for the team in April with an ERA of 5.73. Obviously, I think he's a good pitcher, but that being the best one was just pretty funny to me.
Oh, man.
It's like when the colleges go, oh, highest semester GPA in school and program history, and it's like a 2.5 GPA. I'm looking at you, Texas.
Man, poor Texas, man. Ethan, what are you giving this trade?
For the Mets, I'm going to give it a B+, and for the Giants, I'm going to give it an A-.
A-. Okay. All right. Next trade here.
Hey, you know what? I'll give him an A. I'll give him an A. A solid A.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And now we can talk about the Helsley trade.
Yeah.
Also the Mets.
Yeah. That's right. Sorry, we're doing that. I was going to go to Caleb Ferguson. That's right. We're going to do the Mets. So this is Ryan Helsley to the Mets for 3 prospects here. Shortstop Jesus Baez, right-handed pitcher Nate Dome, or Dom, I think it's Dome, and right-handed pitcher Frank Elisalt.
Elisalt, yeah.
That's his name. Baez was the ranked 8th prospect in the Mets system. Dome was the ranked 14th prospect. I don't believe that Elisalt was ranked in their system, not that I could find according to Pipeline.
I could not either.
We were discussing the Cardinals a decent bit. They were right on the bubble. I think they were like a game or two, maybe 3 games over 500. They were just looking in on the playoff spot. But I said personally, I was like, I don't really think this team is that good. And obviously they agreed with me because they traded some guys, man. They traded, obviously we'll get to like Phil Maton and other stuff later, but obviously they traded the big guy. They traded Ryan Helsley, who feels like he's been in the league so much longer than he actually has, by the way. I don't know if that's just me. Like, when I looked and then I saw that he was only 31, I was like, damn, I thought this guy was like 34. But this is another big get for the Mets.
Their bullpen looks scary now.
They got busy. Again, pretty solid package right here if you're the Cardinals, but again, expiring reliever, right?
They have probably 3 or 4 guys that are going to be competing for the top setup guy.
If you are losing late in the game against the Mets, it's not looking good.
No, you gotta somehow do damage, and that's the problem, because it's not like you're gonna be able to do damage on some of their starters. You're not gonna go out there and expect them to put up like 4 or 5 runs on Kodai Senga, right?
Like
so
David Peterson,
or Salman Hayek, even who's been obviously hasn't pitched much, but we know what he can do.
Exactly. This team's good. This team looks really good after the deadline. I really like how they look. Again, this really helps shore up the back end of their bullpen really well. Him, Helsley, Soto, really good little selection here. I personally am going to give this a B+ for the Mets. I'm also going to give it a B+ for the Cardinals. This is a pretty okay return for Helsley. Baez was the top-ranked prospect that they got. And, I mean, he has been pretty good overall across the minor leagues. He's had little small stints here and there where he hasn't been quite as great, but overall he's shown some pretty solid promise. He's shown some tiny strokes of maybe having okay power here and there. His plate discipline seems to fluctuate a little bit. His strikeouts have gotten down as he's been in the minors. So I think it's a somewhat promising prospect here. The rest of the guys they got were good. I'm going to give it a B+ for both sides. I actually like this deal for both teams. What do you think?
I'm going to go A- for the Mets, and I'm going to go A- as well for the Cardinals. I think that the return is obvious. I personally like the return that the Giants got for Rodgers more than this, but that's not to say this isn't a very good and strong return.
Exactly, yeah. Next one, we got Mike Soroka going to the Cubs. This one I don't have quite as much to say on. The Nationals outfielder Christian Franklin and infielder Ronnie Cruz. Those were both top 15 prospect in the Cubs system. Soroka, here's the thing: he is 27. He is expiring. He is a back end starter. This is kind of what we said the Cubs needed. They don't need front end starting pitching.
I love that for the Cubs, honestly.
They have Shota Imanaga. They have Matt Boyd. They needed like middle to back end starters. This is exactly what Mike Soroka is. I think he's
I mean, you're also taking starts away from Ben Brown, who has just been brutal this year as well. So that helps a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Soroka's like low-key been a pretty solid strikeout pitcher this year too. Like,
yeah.
You remember when he was at his peak and people were saying he was the ace of the Braves. He wasn't really striking anybody out.
I mean, he's got a K per 9 of just under 10, exactly. So definitely looking good there.
Yeah, I'm actually expecting him to have a little bit better of a second half. His expected ERA is 3.32 versus actual ERA is 4.87. When you look at his peripherals, it's not like he allows a decent. He allows so many home runs. It's 122. He doesn't walk too many guys.
He's also not walking. Yeah, I was about to say he's not walking like every guy he faces through.
He gets a good amount of strikeouts. I'd expect, especially considering you want him to be a back-end guy. I think he'll be pretty solid near the end of the season. I also do like this return for the Nationals. This is another one where I'm going to give it a B for the Cubs. I'm going to give it a B plus for the Nationals, getting 2 top 15 prospects in their system. Thumbs up for a guy like this.
I was gonna say B plus for both, but yeah, I'm not gonna disagree with yours.
All right, this.
Oh, let's go back now to either Ferguson.
That's right. I forgot. We skipped
Ferguson.
We skipped Durant.
We skipped a pretty big one.
Skipped Durant. Let's go to Ferguson first, and we'll talk about it. Caleb Ferguson to the Seattle Mariners, and the Pirates in return they got right-handed pitcher Gino Martinez, who was the 13th ranked Mariners prospect according to Pipeline. Martinez has been a little bit up and down in the minors. His first 2 years in the minor leagues, mostly starts, a couple bullpen appearances here and there. He looked pretty good. He has not looked good down there this year. His strikeouts have plummeted now that he's in A-ball. Isn't walking as many guys. He seems to be getting hit a decent amount harder. He's not getting quite as many ground balls. But at the same time, it is a rental reliever. That is the thing here, right?
I don't know what else we can say about Seattle's pitching staff. I mean, just unbelievable.
This team is ridiculous. I love Seattle's deadline. This team is so nuts right now. I don't care if they're 500. This team's nuts.
And what's great about getting a guy like Caleb Ferguson is he does not get hit hard at all. He's in the 100th percentile in exit velo and in hard hit percentage and the 97th in barrel percentage. So he's just generating so much soft contact.
Exactly.
It's just I really like that fit there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really good. He for some reason isn't. His strikeouts have plummeted this year, but it hasn't mattered because
he's making it up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It just hasn't mattered. When you see someone's strikeouts per 9 go down by 4, that's so concerning. But then he's just like, you know what? You can hit me all you want. You're not gonna hit it well. You're not gonna score off it. So who cares? I think it's a good upgrade to Seattle's bullpen. I'm gonna give this an A minus to them. I'm gonna give this a B for the Pirates. I think that Martinez.
I was just gonna say the same thing. Yeah.
A okay enough prospect that you can bank on. He's 19. His fastball and his slider grade really well. His command, I think he needs just to get that up a little bit, and then I think he can be a pretty good pitcher. But I'd say a B for the Pirates, A minus for the Mariners to make their bullpen a lot better. Now,
there's a fun one to talk about.
Are we ready for this one?
I'm ready.
This one was big, man. Yohan Duran to the Philadelphia Phillies. This one I know broke while I was on my way home from work the other day. Yohan Duran to the Phillies for Eduardo Tate and Mick Abel. Tate is the 56th ranked prospect in baseball, and Abel is the 92nd ranked prospect in baseball. Now, Duran was thrown, he's been in rumors the entire deadline, the entirety of trade season, right? But we always said the Twins don't have to trade him if they don't want to. They can hold on to him. He's not a free agent until after the 2027 year. So if they want to hold on to him, they can do it. But the Phillies, they needed bullpen help bad. And you know what they did? They phoned up Minnesota. They said, shit, you got one of the best relief pitchers in baseball. I'll give you 2 top 100 prospects for him. And they said, boom.
And they were able to do it without giving up Painter, Crawford, Miller, Conis, Escobar. They were able to save their really some of their bona fide guys. So that's also a huge thing for them. And I think one of the things we were talking about the most on the first episode was just linking every relief pitcher imaginable to Philly because of how bad they needed it, and they got their guy.
Exactly. This is the guy. This is the best reliever that was going to be available on the market, probably. In terms of raw talent, him or Miller, I think, have the most upside. One of the two.
But Miller was not a guy that anyone really expected that would actually get traded.
Yes.
So
For me personally, I thought he was always a long shot. But Duran, I thought, again, outside shot, but like they don't have to, they don't want to. But with that being said, this is not a nothing return for the Twins.
oh no, not at all.
This is 2 top 100 prospects for a relief pitcher. Albeit,
Quite
he has
frankly,
another 2.5 years of control, and he is really
Yeah.
good. But this team, clearly, they are hitting the full reset. We're going to get to a lot more of their trades later. They have torn it. They're tearing it completely down. They're tearing it all the way down.
I'm not gonna get too into the Twins just yet, but I wasn't the biggest fan of their deadline for overall, but this trade really makes it to the point where if they're getting a lesser return on one of their other trades, this could make up for it.
I do have to say, this is another trade that I really like for both sides. I don't think that this deadline had too many really lopsided ones. Duran, obviously, we know exactly what he does for Philly. We talked about so much in the last episode how we were linking every single reliever to Philly, just because of how bad their bullpen's been. This is their guy. He's going to go into their closer role. Like, there is not a question he's going to be their closer. There should not be a question.
Yeah.
He is going to be lights out. This guy is electric. One of the best relievers in ball. He's going to be so good in that Phillies pen. This team just got a lot scarier. Big hole that they helped. Obviously, it's not perfect, but they helped it quite a bit. Now that you have the guy coming in, right? Like the Mets, they have Edwin Diaz, and now you have your closest equivalent as you'll get. But for the Twins, 2 top 100 prospects, Eduardo Tate and Mika Bell. These are both really, really good prospects. Abel has been at the major league level a little bit this year for the Phillies, and he hasn't really pitched too good, but it's only 25 innings of sample size. He's been really good in the minor leagues this year. He's had a track record of being kind of up and down, but you don't get ranked as the 56th prospect in baseball for being okay. This guy's good. So is Tate. I gotta say, this is an A for the Phillies, I'd say. A minus for the Phillies. A minus for the Phillies. I'm gonna go... Actually, no, I am gonna say A for the Phillies, because they needed this. They absolutely needed this. They got their guy. I'm gonna say A minus for the Twins, because... No, you know what? I'm going back and forth right here. I'm gonna go A for both teams. Fuck it.
I agree. I agree with that.
I think that this is a really good return. This is not a return to sleep on. 2 top 100 prospects for a relief pitcher, albeit with control. So for the Phillies, you help shore up the back of your bullpen for not just this year, but the next 2 seasons as well. I think both teams got what they needed. So, again, good move for them. Next, we're going to go to Zach Littell to the Reds. This is a little interesting, little 3-teamer. Again, we talked about the rotation a little bit on the last episode. Again, we didn't really need front-end guys. They were never really going to be in on like a Merrill Kelly or Seth Lugo when Lugo was on the market, or presumably at least. So they went and got Zach Littell, who I think is a good back end of the rotation guy. He has pitched with 3.58 ERA this year, but he has kind of scary strikeout and home run numbers. He allows almost 2 home runs per 9 and strikes out.
He's not going to walk guys, though.
He
That's something for sure.
He isn't. But the thing with Littell, no, granted, they didn't give up anyone ridiculous. He gets hit hard. Hit hard.
And then that's a problem when you're not throwing a lot of balls. A lot of the stuff's in the zone, and when you don't have the velocity to kind of just overwhelm hitters and blow them by guys, you're just leaving stuff over the plate. So
his fastball is going to average about 92. He doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. 12th percentile in strikeout rate, 11th percentile in barrel rate, and 17th percentile in average exit velocity. So they hit him hard, but he doesn't walk very many guys. And albeit, good for him, he has actually made the most out of it this year. And even last year, he actually had pretty good. He had a pretty good ERA as well, despite similar kind of peripherals. He was strikeout on a little bit more guys last year, but this guy doesn't walk anyone. The home runs and the strikeout, that combination kind of worries me a little bit, but it's the back end of your rotation. If he becomes a pumpkin in August and September, he isn't going to start the playoffs. they have a pretty good set of front end starters that you can trust in a wild card series. So I don't hate this for them. Nothing that went the other way was too crazy. This ended up being a little bit of a 3-teamer, which is a little bit of an odd trade. What do you think here?
Yeah, I honestly like what the Dodgers did in this trade. They kind of didn't really give up all too much, and they got, one of the Reds' top 10 prospects out of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's
The
not.
Reds were kind of just, it looks like, wanted to kind of replace him. I don't know exactly the whole reasoning behind it, but I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the thing with Serwinowski is that he does walk a lot of batters, but he also strikes out a ton. He's still really young. He's 21 years old, so there's definitely room for improvement. He's only in high A right now. But yeah, I mean, I think the Dodgers did some nice tidy work there. I'm gonna probably say for Cincy it was like a B, for Tampa like a C plus, and then for the Dodgers I'd have to give it a B plus,
They came
probably.
in and snatched a top
Yeah,
10 prospect in the race system. They just came in to fit in. And they got a top 10 prospect, man.
yeah.
Shout
I
out to the
mean, they'll
Dodgers.
take that.
Shout out to the Dodgers. They just came in out of nowhere, got 3 prospects. B plus for them. I'll give this a B minus for the Reds, and I'll give it a B for the Rays. Um,
Yeah, I think that's fair.
yeah. Next one here, Ramon Urias to the Astros. I don't really have much to say about this trade. They get a little bit of depth. They gave up a not really notable guy. I don't really have anything
Yeah,
for this. This is
I
have
mean,
nothing to say about this
they
trade.
what I think is they got Urias because they knew Paredes is out for the year. They want to
True.
just get a guy who can play third base, and I think this is before they even kind of realized that Correa was in play for them.
Korea.
I think that this could have just been like something like, okay, a worst case scenario, we have a guy who can play this position, and then they said, all right, let's see what else we can do.
Mm-hmm.
Twine Palmer, I'm not going to lie and say I know a ton about him, but his name is Twine Roland Palmer. That's just one of the coolest names I've ever heard.
That's a pretty
So,
great name. I can't lie.
yeah.
I'll give it like a C plus for the Astros because like sure it's solid depth, not bad, not a bad
Good,
move.
good defender, obviously, so
Yeah.
they'll take
For
that.
the Orioles, I'm looking at Twine Palmer right now. According to
Good
Fangraphs, and
defender this year, I should say.
according to Palmer's prospect report on Fangraphs, he has a 60 grade fastball, a 55 grade curveball, and a 50 grade slider. That has some upside to it. So considering
Yeah,
who Ramon Urias is, not bad. B plus for them. I'll give it a C for the Astros. I
I agree with
think we can
those,
probably
yeah.
move on. Steven Matz to the Boston Red Sox for Blaze Jordan. Starting pitching was something that they could definitely have used. And worst
Yeah.
case scenario, they could get a bulk guy. Steven Matz is probably going to be a bulk guy for them because he's mostly pitched out of the pen this year. And Blaze Jordan, you're not really stressing over because he's your 17th ranked prospect. Matt's out of the pen this year in 32 games, pitched 55 innings, pitched to a 3.44 ERA, doesn't walk anyone, keeps the ball in the yard, doesn't strike out a crazy amount of guys, but he's never really been a big strikeout guy. So pretty solid move for the Red Sox, I think, to just help shore up their pitching staff and not really giving up anything too noteworthy. I give it a B plus for the Red Sox. I'd say I'd give it a B minus.
I honestly like Blaze Jordan. I think he's a solid player for sure. I think that for St. Louis to get him for Mats is solid, but it's not going to hurt Boston a lot because I believe he was Rule 5 eligible, and it was just he was kind of blocked in. I don't know if blocked in is the right word, but he was the fit just didn't seem that perfect.
He was. I don't think he was going to get time over Tristan Casas at any point. So
No.
I'll give it a B minus for the Cardinals. Solid move. I don't think.
I'll say for Boston
Blaze
it's
Jordan
a
doesn't
B
particularly
plus.
move me, but for the Red Sox,
No.
B plus. This is a big one.
Yeah.
The Seattle Mariners acquiring Eugenio Suarez for first baseman Tyler Locklear, right-handed pitcher Hunter Cranton, and right-handed pitcher Juan Burgos. So the Mariners gave up the 9th, 16th, and 17th ranked prospects in their system for probably the best position player on the market.
Yeah.
He went for a lot less than I thought he was going to go for. I'm not going to lie.
100%. I mean, with what the rumored asks were, it seemed like they were gonna have to give up a guy like Arroyo or Montez or even like Harry Ford or something. Like they were to have to give it up like someone huge.
Yeah, and they
But they're able to not
and they didn't really give
have
up
to
that
do
much.
that.
Like they gave up one top 10 prospect and 2 guys that you're not really looking at too deep. And Suarez, what did we say earlier? They need cornerbacks. We said this when we were talking about the Naylor trade.
I mean,
I will
you
listen.
straight up said
I
that a
will take.
package like
I
that.
am taking my victory lap right here and saying
Oh,
I called
yeah.
this on the last one. I don't care if I said the best fit was the Cubs. If I picked them, I said that was one of the first things I said when we talked about Seattle was. I think it makes so much sense for them to go and get both of these guys because they both fit perfectly.
For
and
sure.
what happened? I'm taking my victory lap on every single one of you motherfuckers. And yeah, like there isn't really that much to say about Suarez. Like he's just so good. He's one of the best power hitters in baseball right now. And you know what? He had a nice little reunion. He spent 2 years in Seattle a few years ago, and he's gotten so much better since his last stint over there. So. Shout out Suarez.
Yeah, I mean, definitely doesn't have the best numbers at the ballpark, but I mean,
I think you're also banking that he's just simply going to be like better than he
yes.
was. You don't trade for a guy with 36 homers at the end of July and then he just
he's not like
back,
even if
right?
he's not playing at this pace, he's not going to just fall off a cliff and be some terrible replaceable player.
That's the other thing. He's not
going to be a replacement level player.
His batted ball distribution is also so much better than it was with Seattle. He pulls 30% of his 30.1% of his batted balls in the air to the pull side. When he was with Seattle, that number was hovering around 23%. He also just straight up hits the ball harder. His barrel rate is
he made some adjustments and it's clear.
So I think he's just a little bit of a better player than he was around then. He just hits the ball harder. His hard hit rate is so much higher. It's the highest of his whole career. So shout out to Suarez, man. Shout out to the Mariners. They got their guy. I loved the Mariners deadline. If we have time at the end, we can talk about like any specific teams, but yeah, man. Shout out the Mariners. They got their guy. This, I swear to God, this is probably an A+ for the Mariners. I
was gonna say this is my first A+ of the
this
episode. I think
beautiful trade for the Mariners, and I would probably give it a B for the Diamondbacks. Considering some of the rumored asks, I think they probably could have got more for Suarez.
I don't
know if his value went down or anything because there were reports that they might get this guy. There was a report last week. I remember I mentioned it when we were talking that they really like the Yankees farm system. So
yeah,
I don't know if teams didn't want to budge on a Suarez price or what have you, right? We were there were reports coming out that Suarez was probably going to spark a bidding war.
Yeah, we didn't really see that. We kind of just
I don't know if
heard Seattle a lot.
I don't know if the starting bid was like an empty bag of salad croutons or something, but like
I mean, that's pretty good
because the Mariners didn't give up that much for him, so. Shout out to them.
It was surprisingly low. But again, we say not much, but it's still a solid return. It's just not nearly as much as expected.
It is. It's a solid return because, again, you got to consider the fact that Suarez is an expiring deal. There's no guarantee he stays in Seattle after this year. He very well could, which would
be sure as hell wasn't staying in Arizona. So
apparently not. I mean, apparently there was rumors that if they didn't get the asking price they wanted, they might have tried to extend him, but regardless,
I just think they would have gone outbid on the market. That's just my.
There was no guarantee for that too, right? So
yes,
who knows? So the Andrew Kittredge to the Chicago Cubs. Solid trade over here. The Cubs, they didn't need to go crazy on the relief market, but they got someone who's been pretty good this year. I think Andrew Kittredge has been kind of under the radar. For a lot of people, he solid strikeout, walk, and home run numbers, 3.45 ERA right there. That's going to slot right into the Cubs bullpen pretty nice, I think.
Yeah.
I don't really have an insane amount to say. He gets a lot of chase. He doesn't allow too many barrels. He runs a pretty solid ground ball rate as well. So I gotta say, I kind of like this one for them. What do you say?
Yeah, I like it. They didn't give up all that much. Yeah. They made the team better with that move, so I definitely like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I gotta say, and they didn't really give up too much. The player that they gave up, shortstop Wilfred De La Cruz, was their 17th ranked prospect, so you're not really stressing that much about it. I am going to give this a B+ for the Cubs. I'm going to give it a B for the Orioles. Solid return. You out of the 17th ranked prospect in someone's system for a expiring 35-year-old reliever. So not bad.
Yeah.
Are we ready for this next one?
Here, I think so.
I'm gonna listen. This trade got me right out of bed this morning. I was kind of getting late. I was lazy getting out of bed this morning. I had to go to work, and this got me right up. I was out. I was in my apartment. I was going,
Who needs like a Monster, a Red Bull, a coffee when you got
when you
Shane
got Shane
Bieber on your
on
ball
your team,
club?
man. So,
Oh man,
Shane Bieber to the Toronto Blue Jays for right-handed pitcher Cal Steven. Now, I'm not going to act like they got him for cheap. They gave up their fifth-ranked prospect, and Steven has popped out. He's broken out this year. So this is definitely, it's a little bit of a price to pay for the Jays, and it is a risk. Bieber is coming off of Tommy John surgery. He is doing his rehab right now. He's in the middle of a rehab assignment. Excuse me. So there isn't necessarily a guarantee that he comes back and he's like Shane Bieber of old. But apparently, from what I've been hearing, his velocities looked really good, and his stuff has looked really good in his rehab starts. And
here's the thing:
Toronto needed a front end starter, and if he plays to his upside, this player is literally the exact thing that the Toronto Blue Jays needed.
You don't need him to just come back and just have like a 2 ERA, like a literal 2 ERA, and be like a Cy Young contender like he was. You just need him to be who he can be, not even to the full extent, just be 75-80%. And if you're a Jays fan like us, I think you'd be perfectly fine with that.
Mm-hmm. Because, yeah, that's the thing. Like, if they need a front-end starter, they need someone who can start a game one of the playoffs. And I think that Shane Bieber, if he comes back and he is himself, he is that guy. Because, it is not a secret. The Toronto Blue Jays rotation is not that great. Their rotation is made up of, like, really a bunch of, like, 3-4 starters. That's what their rotation is right now.
A term
to start a game.
A term that I heard thrown around a lot was a playoff game starter, a guy who's going to start a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
I think he fits all the check boxes there. So
this is the exact
no complaints
kind of
from
player
me.
that they needed. I was kind of doubtful that he actually would have got moved because he's in the middle of his rehab assignment. But hey, I respect it. But for Cleveland, this is a damn good return for him too. Because again, there is risk involved with Bieber. He is expiring. He is coming off of a big time injury. He has a player option that if he's bad, he might accept. And who knows, if he accepts the option, then you're stuck on the hook for, what is it, 16, 18 million, whatever it is, and maybe he's bad again. See, I almost said Stephen King. Call Steven has been ridiculous in the minors this year. A good amount of strikeouts.
Hasn't written the same amount of books as Stephen King, but he's been a pretty good pitcher.
Not quite. No, not quite. He's a much better pitcher than Stephen King. Not as good of a writer, but
I'll have to agree with that.
Keeps the ball in the yard. Less than half a home run per 9. Less than 2 walks per 9. Almost 10 strikeouts per 9. 2.06 ERA in the minors. Only a 4.4 home run to fly ball ratio. So pretty solid at managing that. This is a really good return for Cleveland. It is a bit of a price to pay for Toronto, but again, this is what they needed. But again, if you are Cleveland, this is a guy that his MLB ETA, according to Fangraphs, of 2026, all of his pitches grade pretty well. His command grades okay. This is a guy who could come up as soon as next year, worst case scenario 2027, and could be like an impact pitcher for you then. I do think this is an okay trade for both sides. I have to say, this is an A for Cleveland. I'm going to give this a B+ for Toronto.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that B+ is temporary. Like, he could come, like, if he comes back and he's as strong as ever, then that could move from a B+ to an A+
This
even.
is given what we know right now. If he pitches ridiculous at the deadline, he's 2015 David Price, that might become an A-, it might become an A. But given where we are right now, he hasn't made those starts yet. Yeah. It's a B+ for me, and for Cleveland it's an A, because that's a really good return for everything surrounding Shane Bieber. Next one, this is a crazy one. You wanna introduce this one?
So, pretty good relief pitcher. If you watch baseball, you might have heard of him. His name's Mason Miller. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what can really be said about him that isn't already quite obvious, but I mean, one of the hardest fastballs that you'll see out of a relief pitcher. He just does almost everything extraordinarily well. The only concern is that he walks a decent amount of batters, but he also strikes out pretty much more than anybody else at this position. He gets almost as many swing and misses than anybody else at this position. He doesn't give up that hard of contact most of the time in terms of exit velocity. I just an incredible pitch. This is a textbook closing pitcher right here.
Exactly, yeah. Mason Miller is like one of the best relievers in all of baseball. Now, the Padres did give up a bit of a price to get him. They gave up their top prospect, who is also the third ranked prospect in baseball. They gave up their third ranked prospect, they gave up their 13th ranked prospect, and their 17th ranked prospect. So that's not a nothing package. But
Not at all.
let's also make it known Mason Miller is ridiculous. He doesn't even have 2 full years of service time. JP Sears is a solid middle to back end of the rotation starter who still has a lot of control. He is not a free agent until after the 2028 season. So he has another 3 years of control on him. They are both currently really cheap, which allows you to maybe invest some money elsewhere while these two are cheap. It's not a bad move for the Padres. It might be a little bit of an overpay since you're doing the third best prospect in baseball. But also at the same time, you are getting guys who are going to help you now. You're going to get guys who are going to help you the next 2-3 years as well. So, with that being said, I do think this is a good return for the A's. I don't really know if the return was ever going to get better than the third ranked prospect in baseball plus. So I'm going to give this an A for the Athletics. I'm also going to give this an A- for the Padres. Because, respectfully, even if this is a little bit of an overpay, I actually don't think it's as crazy of an overpay as some people have acted like it is. They are a win-now team. They are not trying to wait for Leo to hit the majors and see what he can do. They are saying, all right, we're really good. We have Machado. We have Tatis. We have Dylan Cease. We have all these other guys. We got to go all in. Let's get one of the best relievers in ball. Let's get a solid starting pitcher as well. I like it for the Padres. A- for them. I'm also going to give it an A for the A's because they also...
I mean, they got one of the top prospects, one of the premier prospects in the sport.
Exactly. A for Athletics.
Also, I want to just point this out. This is from X, Twitter, whatever you call it, by MJ. His ad is hockey is all. He pointed out some of the prospects that AJ Preller has traded, and it's like he's playing franchise mode here.
Right. I think I saw the exact tweet here.
Yeah, Trey Turner, James Wood, Max Fried, Josh Naylor, Andres Munoz, Mackenzie Gore, David Bednar, C.J. Abrams, Xavier Edwards, Zach Eflin, Leo DeVries, Braden Nett, Ryan Weathers, Robbie Snelling, River Ryan, Emmanuel Clase, and Matt Brash, all traded as prospects by AJ Preller. And I'm not saying that he hasn't gotten insane returns, but that's just, he is playing franchise mode. Literally.
He's playing franchise mode, man. But I do have to, even if some of the trades are a little reckless, I have to respect the guy who's always is going to be super aggressive and just always going to go for it. Even if it doesn't always work out, and even if sometimes it's definitely a bit of an overpay, I can't lie, I have to respect the cojones on this man.
I mean, that's the thing. At the end of the day, no one could question his will to win. He wants to win. That's obvious.
There was once a debate about who's a bigger, I don't know if I should say this on the podcast, but who's a bigger psycho between Jerry Dipoto and AJ Preller? I don't know who wins that debate, because both of them went crazy at the deadline, but yeah,
for sure.
That's that one. These next few trades, I don't really think there's too much to say about them. Kyle Finnegan to the Tigers, they gave up their 15th ranked prospect in right-handed pitcher Josh Randall, and then RJ Sales, who didn't even rank in their top 30. Solid get for the Tigers. You didn't really go too much.
Yeah, we could just go to the Bednar one if you want.
We'll skip some of these because some of these are like cash consideration trades. I don't really think that most of these are really worth talking about, especially since we've been here for 2 hours. David Bednar to the Yankees. This is a really good move for the Yankees. He has another year of control after this year, so you have him for about a year and a half, guaranteed. Plus, if you extend him after that, you gave up the 8 and 14
I love what the
prospect in your
Yankees did.
system, and then Sanchez isn't. I don't think he was ranked in their top 30. Not a bad move from the Yankees. Also not a bad return for the Pirates, I don't think. He was never going to net you the Duran return, nor was he ever going to, anyway, in hell, net you the Mason Miller return. But regardless, pretty solid return here.
I think this is worth noting. There is a tweet, a report from Colin Beasley, who is a Pirates writer, reporter for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. He said that Ben Sherrington, the Pirates GM, said that the Pirates had access, in quotations, so direct words from Ben Sherrington, to players that were ranked higher than who the Yankees offered for David Bednar.
Oh.
They just preferred this package.
Interesting.
So that's just another thing what I was talking about, them needing to kind of get a new front office. I don't think Ben Sherrington is very good. Clearly, Pirates fans are fed up with him. And just straight up admitting that you took a worse package, I don't even know how I would feel as a fan. I'd be pretty pissed off at that.
I didn't
bad.
see that. That's actually kind of bad. I might have to bump my grade for the Pirates down. I was gonna say, listen, man.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, we know what David Bednar is going to do for this team. He is a really good back end of the bullpen kind of guy. He has really bounced back big this year. He was terrible last year. He was getting hit.
As much as I hate it, the Yankees had a hell of a deadline.
And then boom, all of a sudden the guy's back. He is striking out guys at the best rate of his career. He is walking guys at the best rate of his career. His contact management is the best it's ever been. This is the best that David Bednar has ever been. Like, period. I'm going to give this an A for the Yankees. I'm going to give this... Now that I heard that quote, I'm giving this a C for the Pirates, man. C minus, C.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say B minus anyway, but I'm gonna bump it to a C plus because yes, they could have gotten more potentially, but it's still not a bad package.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing is getting 2 catching prospects when you already have a logjam at the catcher position.
Yeah, that's weird.
And you're already having to move catchers around the diamond like Andy Rodriguez. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's just like a weird
I'm going to say C minus.
Like, that's just weird, you know? Next one. We don't have to talk about this one too much. I just want to talk about this because this is... I just want to talk about this for like a minute. We don't have to go over this too much. I don't even know if I'll give a grade on this one. This trade is ridiculous. The Padres gave up the 7th ranked prospect in their system for Freddie Fermin. AJ, what are you doing, bro? What is this? What is this, man? Freddie Fermin is like an okay defensive catcher who is like 30 years old, and you gave up who also cannot hit.
Mean,
this is a
version
of Nick. This is the worst version of the Nick Fortes trade. If you gave up a 3 times as good prospect. I don't know.
I can't lie. This might be one of the funniest catching rooms I've ever seen. Right now, it's Fermin, Elias Diaz, and Martin Maldonado. That's a catcher room.
The craziest part is this somehow makes their catching position better because their catching was just that bad before.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're gonna go to the Cedric Mullins to the New York Mets. This actually is a pretty light return, albeit this is not 2021 Cedric Mullins. But with that being said, he is a pretty solid all-around player. He's a solid base runner. He is an okay hitter. And, he has not really been good on the defensive end this year. I wonder how much of that is Orioles tax and him not wanting to be there or anything like that. Considering a few years ago, he was a consistent positive in defensive runs saved. 2022 was a +5, and then also was a +10 outs above average that year. +10, and then 2023 was 7 defensive runs saved +5 outs above average. This year he's -13 defensive runs saved. I think this is a solid move for the. What am I saying?
The Mets.
Yeah, pretty solid move for the Mets. I completely lost my train of thought. I apologize.
I mean, after the series I just witnessed with the Jays in Baltimore, thank God he's out of our division.
Yeah,
I don't want to face him that much.
A few days earlier, that's kind of crazy. Mullins Mullins is interesting because he has pretty insane reverse splits. He has a 143 WRC plus against lefties, and it's only 89 against righties, which is kind of weird. I do expect, I don't know why, but I have this feeling that he'll probably end up being a little bit better on defense. I don't know if he'll be fully like 10 outs above average, like what he was a few years ago, but I have a feeling he'll be a little bit better on defense. Maybe it was literally just him being like, screw this. Maybe it was the Bryce Harper thing when he was in this last year with the Nationals. He just was not trying because he didn't want to tank his value or something like that. Not that Mullins is Bryce Harper, but I wonder if it's that kind of thing. The Mets, the top prospect that you gave up was your ranked 14th prospect. That's kind of
Yeah. Also,
really
also
good.
adding on to what you said, it's also just playing on a team that should be better and is underperforming. It's not necessarily you're intentionally playing bad, but you just don't have the same motivation to go out there and give it everything.
Yeah,
And that doesn't
yeah,
really,
yeah, yeah.
I
That's more
wouldn't
so what I
knock
was
him
getting
too
at. I
much.
was never
Yeah,
saying that
I
he was
wouldn't.
like intentionally throwing, but it's like,
Obviously, yeah.
yeah. Overall, I like the Mets. I gotta say, I do also like this return for the Orioles, though. I think that Nunez is pretty solid upside. I think the fact that you got 2 top 30 prospects for an aspiring outfielder who's been like okay is pretty solid. Um, Ramon Gomez, he has an 80 grade fastball and a 60 grade slider. The thing is, though, he has 20 grade command. I think that if he can get that command in check, he could be a ridiculous relief pitcher. And plus, Nunez has pretty solid upside. I think this is probably I'd honestly give this an A- for the Orioles, and I would give this a B+ for the Mets.
Yeah. I feel like we're pretty on par with all of our grades except for like a couple of them, but
Yeah. This next one, Jake Bird to the New York Yankees for Rock Riggio, second baseman, and left-handed pitcher Ben Shields. Riggio is the 10th ranked prospect in the Yankee system. Shields was 28. I don't know how much I like this move for the Yankees. Sorry, let me rephrase. This is more of an interesting move because here's the thing, right? Bird does his peripherals look pretty well. He has never actually sustained a good ERA. Granted, he's also pitched in cores. He's all of a sudden striking out guys this year. He's not walking as many guys. His contact management's gotten better. He's allowing less home runs. He has a FIP of 345, which suggests that maybe that 473 ERA will come down a little bit. He also has a lot of control. So I think that all things considered, this is a pretty good deal for the Yankees. I'm actually surprised that they couldn't get more than like a Rock Riggio, considering, well,
yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't say that. Rock Riggio's been ridiculous in the minors this year, but I thought he would have had more value than this. So I gotta say, this is a really good trade for the Yankees. Do you have anything to say about us before we give our grades?
I just think that the Yankees just did a really good job of kind of retooling their bullpen without giving up, an arm and a leg for it. This trade also just gives them depth. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they're not trading for Jake Bird expecting him to be a setup man or their closer. That's why they brought in Bednar and Doval.
Yeah,
I think, just to have another arm without giving up all too much, I like this trade a lot. I'd have to say it's a B+ for the Yankees and probably just a B- for the Rockies.
yeah. I'm gonna give it a C+ for the Rockies because actually I might even give it a C because I think you definitely could have got more for Bird, even if you waited for him
Yeah,
to
I just don't
get
think it's
in.
a bad
I
return
don't think it's a
though.
bad return, but I think you definitely could have got better. I'm gonna give this an. I'm actually really a lot more lopsided than on this one than you are. I'm gonna give this an A for the Yankees. I think this is really good. I think
All
Bird can
right.
be really good. He has a lot of control too, which is also another thing. I think he has another 3 years of control, 4 years of control, whatever it is. That's like really important too to think about. He's a free agent in 2029, so he has I think through the 2028 season. So you have 3.5 years of Jake Bird, for that package, which I think is really good. Good job, Mr. Cashman. Next one is a bombshell. Did you see this one coming at all?
No,
I didn't. I didn't even think there was a chance it would happen.
I,
Carlos
I
Correa.
remember a couple days ago I was talking to someone and basically the what I heard from this is not like, but when I say what I heard, this isn't like, me saying I have a source saying that the source told me. I'm saying that from this person said like something along the lines of a Correa return would make sense. And I said, you know what? With how much money he's making, the situation the Twins are in, probably wouldn't cost that much. And guess what? It didn't.
It didn't. Yeah. So
Plus they're eating money, so
Carlos Correa going back to the Houston Astros for left-handed pitcher Matt Mikulski. Now, let's get this out the way. Matt Mikulski is a 26-year-old in high A. He's probably not going to be anything for the Twins. Like, let's just get that out of the way. This is not a significant prospect package. This is a salary dump from the Twins. Now, here's the thing. Carlos Correa was never going to net a really, really big prospect return unless the Twins ate all of the money. They did not. They sent the Astros 30 million, which I believe in the next couple of years, Correa's owed, what, 90 something million. So let's say the Twins ate a third of the money. Let's just call it that because they're giving the 30 million. They're not actually eating the money, but let's just say that because you're giving the 30 mil, right? If you're the Astros, there's a few things. Number one, you get someone. He's probably going to play third for them. That's apparently what the reports have been saying. He's going to play third base for them for the rest of the year, since Isaac Paredes is. I don't remember if they said he's just going to be out until like near the end of the season, or if it's actually season ending. I don't actually remember which one it was, but that injury is not looking good for him. He might miss the rest of the year, so they need to do something. We even said like last time they could be a team for Ryan McMahon, Suarez, whoever, right? No, they went a different direction. They got Carlos Correa.
Yeah, I like that.
Obviously, we know what the upside of Correa is, but here's the other thing. Correa is 30 years old. He's shown himself to be kind of injury prone the last couple of years. He's on a big contract, and he's been a little bit inconsistent. So that's why you were never going to get a really big return for Correa, but you're also getting off a lot of money. I actually had of course I had the contract up, and then I closed the window. Because there was the options in there. So he is owed $11 million the rest of the year. That's the estimate according to Spot Rack. That's what they're going to be paying. Astros are going to be paying him 20.5 next year, 19.5 in 27, 19 and 28. After that, there are vesting options for 4 years after that, where you can make 25, 20, 15, and $10 million. That is a lot of money. If that ends up being paid out fully by the Astros, and Correa is, let's say, a 2.5 win player on average for that time, it's kind of an overpay. Well, not an overpay, but it's like he's getting paid more than he's worth, right? Am I saying Correa is a 2.5 win player? No. But he's also, since he's been in Minnesota, he's been a 4.5 win player his first year. His second year, he was a 1.5 win player over 135 games. Last year, he had a 4 WAR in 80 games when he was injured. This year, he has a 1 WAR through 90 games. He's inconsistent. He's prone to getting hurt. Big contract. He's 30 years old. He was never going to net a big return. But I also think that this is a solid move for the Astros. You did, like, your prospect capital, you didn't give up anything, right? This is good assurance in case Paredes is out the whole year. Again, I don't remember what the report said. They might have already come out and said that he is out the whole year. I just don't remember what the report said. And even regardless for like next year and the year after that, you have kind of flexibility on what you want to do with him, Correa, Paredes, Jeremy Pena. Because that was the first thing I saw was like, what are they going to do when Jeremy Pena's back? Actually, he might already be back. I don't remember, but because they both are shortstops, and then they said he's going to play third. This gives them flexibility, gives them assurance for this year. I like this move for the Astros. I'm going to say it is an A- for the Astros. I'm going to say this is a B for the Twins. Obviously, this sucks if you're a Twins fan. It sucks to see the big splash you made a couple years ago is now gone, and you're eating some of that money, but you're also getting off a lot of that money. This team is clearly hitting the reset button. There's a chance Joe Ryan gets traded in the offseason now.
I mean, he was. I don't want to say close because there was a report that said it wasn't really that close. I assume they wanted like someone like Roman Anthony from the Red Sox, but that was something that was being talked about near the end of the deadline. Well, that's just my guess because there was a report that said that they're in serious talks, and then it came out that they weren't actually that close.
Because there was I think it was from John Morosi where he said they made a really late push for him, and then there was another report that said they weren't even close. I know what you're talking about. I know.
That's just my guess.
I know. But yeah, like Correa was never going to net much value anyways. It is a salary dump. The Twins free up a lot of money. This is a team that I'm actually a little bit more confident that they can at least reinvest some of the money.
I'm gonna go on like a mini rant and just say, like, first of all, they really just gave a middle finger to the fans because they were on a historic drought of going 18 straight games without winning, 19 years without winning a playoff game, and I'm not even saying a series or World Series, a singular game. It spans so long. They finally do it. Things are looking up. The ownership and front office strictly comes out and straight up says thanks for believing. This is the start of something. The fans expect moves. Everyone's expecting the Twins to spend and to actually build a team around what they had that won the playoff games, and they just didn't, and they traded almost half of their roster in the past couple days. It's just an unbelievable failure to the fans.
Mm-hmm. It's tough, man. Again, if I'm looking from the Twins' perspective, I don't really know how you make that roster that much better. In all fairness, but it does that stings if you're a fan. Like Twins fans, I feel for you. That's gotta sting. But from a value perspective, I don't think that this is that bad of a trade. I think that, again, obviously it sucks seeing that Correa would be gone, considering how high profile of a player he was. But at the same time, he was never going to net much value. It's kind of that simple. I gotta say, I like this for the Astros. I'm actually gonna say a B plus for the Astros. I don't know about fully.
I feel like it's one of those things. Like I said, it's a low risk, high reward. I mean, you didn't give up all too much, and
you're not
plus
you're
the
not
vibe. For lack of a better term, the vibes. I mean, if you're an Astros fan and you're an Astros player, it's like that's another thing. I mean, especially with losing some of the guys from these teams, you lost Tucker, you lost Bregman, and among others. It's like it's good to have one of those guys back playing with Altuve.
Yeah, I'm
playing
gonna
with
say
Jordan again. It's nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna say B plus for Houston, B minus for Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm gonna say A minus just because of the low risk aspect of it. But I'm also gonna say you know what? I'm gonna say C plus for the Twins. I don't think it's the worst thing because they did get something. It's just the fact that you're eating that much money and you're not. It's not like you're spending elsewhere. That's what annoys me. If I'm a if I'm a fan. So
next one is a big one. You want to introduce this one?
I lost my spot. That's on me.
Oh, it was
Ryan O'Hearn. And I hit something and messed up the formatting, and I'm not sure how to fix that. But I don't know what I clicked. Anyway, Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano to San Diego for 6 prospects, I believe that is.
Yeah, 4 of them are ranked on Pipeline. 2 of them are unranked.
Boston Bateman, Cobb Hightower, Tyson Neighbors, Victor Figueroa, Brandon Butterworth, Tanner Smith. The first thing I noticed with this haul is some great names in there too. I'm a sucker for some names.
For some Brandon Butterworth, woo.
Cobb Hightower,
Tyson Neighbors, like that's the name right there.
Boston Bateman, come on.
There's some fantastic names.
It's no Twine Roland Palmer.
True.
But there's some nice names that roll off the tongue, obviously.
Yeah,
but
totally.
I mean, that's the thing. 2 rentals, and you're getting some of the Padres' better prospects that aren't DeVries and Salas. So I don't think there's anything to hate about that if you're a fan of the Orioles at all.
Damn nice package for the O's, man. Obviously, again, like you said, both these guys are rentals. Don't really think they were too much in the future plans for the O's. Damn good return for them. I'm going to give this an A for the Orioles, man. This is a beautiful return. But also for the Padres, they got their guys. Last episode,
100%.
I know you especially were saying that they need an outfield bat. They went and they got it. Ramon Laureano has been hitting really well this year, especially against left-handed pitching. Obviously, we know the cannon that he has attached to his arm out there in the outfield. But they also got Ryan
for sure,
who might debatably be the best hitter on the market. And I personally thought that they really need an infield bat as well. I don't remember if I said that in the last episode. They went out, they got both, right?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that really stands out as a black, I don't want to say a full-on black hole, but like as something that's like, all right, this isn't the best, is their catching. That's obviously the thing we talked about with their catching group, but I mean, at this point, with how good the rest of the lineup is, as long as you got the catchers good enough, like very good defensively, then you don't need some, 120 WRC plus catcher. You're fine with what you got.
Exactly. So I'm gonna give this a B plus for the Padres. They got guys that they needed. Although they did give up a bit of a haul, they did get exactly what they needed. So I'm gonna give this one a B plus for the Padres. I'm gonna give this an A.
So would I. I agree. I completely agree with that.
Beautiful return.
Completely agree.
Beautiful return. Next one. I don't really think we need to talk about this one too much, but Danny Colomé to the Texas Rangers for Left-handed pitcher Garrett Horn. Horn is not even ranked top 30 in the Rangers system. Colom has a 1.16 ERA in 31 innings. Does not walk anyone. 2.61 walks per nine. 9 strikeouts per nine. Has not allowed a home run this year. A+ for the Rangers. I don't care. This is a beautiful return.
Oh, I agree, especially because he gave up virtually.
You gotta
I'm not going to say that.
You gotta shut down lefty for someone who literally was not ranked in your system on Pipeline. This is beautiful.
I'm looking at it, and Garrett Horn looks good. He's not ranked, but he looks pretty good. He's 22. Unfortunately, he's only in single A, but I definitely think that he's a solid. Like, he looks solid. Not as good as Coulomb. I don't think that's enough for him. I think that is, I'll have to agree, an A+ for Texas, and honestly, I'll give a B+ for Minnesota. This is definitely a trade they didn't really get burned on.
Yeah, I'm not saying they got burned on. I'm not saying that Garrett Horn is nothing, but I think the fact that you got this for your Texas, beautiful. This is an A+ for the Twins, or not for the Twins, for the Rangers. Solid for the Horn has some upside.
Oh, we fixed the format. Yeah,
I don't think it was ever broken. It was probably fine on my screen.
No, it was just on mine. Yeah.
Oh, it was just in your. Oh, okay, never mind. I get what you're saying here. I just want to talk about this one really quick. The Jesus Sanchez to the Astros one. They give up 3 prospects: right-handed pitcher Ryan Gusto, infielder Chase Jaworski, solid name by the way, and outfielder Esmil Valencia. They gave up the best prospect in this package was their ranked 13 prospect. The other 2, I believe, were unranked, and they got a solid everyday outfielder. Let's say a 2-win player who has a couple years of control left. He has another 2.5 years of control. Pretty solid for the Astros. Is a solid depth move for them that's going to help them in the next couple of years.
Yep.
Not too much to say. I think this is a B+ move for the Astros. I think it's also... I'm going to give this a B- for the Marlins because I think you might have been able to get a tiny bit more, especially because Jesus Sanchez actually profiles pretty well as a hitter. I think that he's a little bit better than his 105 WRC+ shows, so I'm going to go B+ for Texas, B- for Miami.
I agree with that.
All right, do we want to talk about Alex Call or no?
I mean, what all I'm gonna say here is nice depth piece. They didn't give up a ton. I think that Alex Call is a solid player, definitely an above average offensive bat, as you can see with his 118 WRC+. A team like the Dodgers they have a good enough farm system to the point where that's not going to hurt them. It's not bad for them.
Yeah, won't hurt. Next trade, this is a big one. Merrill Kelly to the Texas Rangers for 3 prospects. Lefty Cole Drake, who was the Rangers' 5th prospect. Mitch Bratt, also a lefty, who was the Rangers' 9th prospect. And David Hageman, which was the Rangers' ranked 13th prospect. I love this trade for both sides. The Rangers' rotation right now is ridiculous because they have DeGrom, they have Eovaldi, who are both obviously they're ridiculous, and you just threw Merrill Kelly, who's like your 3 starter right now.
And Patrick Corbin's been looking like legit number 3 too.
Yeah, that's true.
That's another
Corbin's been really good this year too. This rotation's nuts right now, man. They upgraded their pitching in a big way. I actually thought they really needed to upgrade their offense. Granted,
I mean, their bullpen also looks fantastic with Coulomb and Maton both coming in.
Yeah.
So
I did say I thought they need to upgrade their offense. However, some of their bats have been really turning it around lately. Like Seager and Semien got off to awful starts of the year, and they've been kind of bringing it back. I think when we did the last episode, they were actually sub 500. They're like 57 and 52. I think they're like half.
I will say, I do think a bat would have really, really helped them. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it needed to be a Suarez or a O'Hearn, like an elite top, like a top of the market bat, but just some depth, something like we saw some guys try. I think like a guy like Alex Call could have helped them. Yeah. I think something like I don't know who else got traded really. Like I don't want to say Ramon Urias, but I mean even like that, that could have helped them a bit.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that would have helped them a little more.
Or one of the guys the Yankees got, like Slater or Rosario, just something.
Yeah, I think
but
either of those is definitely gonna help. But fuck, man, Merrill Kelly. Damn, you know how much I wanted Merrill Kelly. Merrill Kelly.
Oh yeah.
This was like my top trade want for like the last 2-3 months. Like ever since the Jays actually like were good and it was
I
okay,
wanted that
they're going to be buyers. I was like, Merrill Kelly's my
I'm
him
I'm, I'm
him and
perfectly good with Bieber.
oh, I totally am too. Him and him and Edward Cabrera, those are my two guys. But
Yeah.
listen, man, shout out Texas. They're going for it. They made some bullpen moves. They made obviously this move too. A little bit of they gave up some prospects for him. The return's actually a pretty good one for Arizona. Um, you got this kind of package for Merrill Kelly, who is an expiring. He's also like 30. Was he 35, 36? Not a bad return for him, especially considering again he's a rental. Um, so I gotta say, I'm gonna give this probably. What am I gonna give this? I'm gonna give this an A minus for Arizona. I'm gonna give this a B plus for Texas.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it a. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say A minus for Texas, but I'm also gonna say an A minus for Arizona. I think that Texas got a very good player that's gonna help them, but Arizona also got some prospects to kind of bolster their system with the other trades they made too. I think that they both came out on top here.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid move for both sides. Why don't you introduce us for the next few trades that we're gonna be looking at?
I mean, there was the Peraza trade, which I don't think was really much.
No, not really worth talking about. Like
Uh,
Praz not that good. They
and
gave up
and
nothing.
Willie Castro going to the Cubs. I mean, that's another one where it's just the Cubs are kind of getting deeper. It's not a guy who you're gonna expect to just be
Mm-hmm.
some insane guy that's gonna just make this team go from elite to somehow even better.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a guy who plays pretty much all over the diamond. It gives you flexibility defensively.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you a bat that's not bad by any means, and it just kind of gives you more options. I like that for them a lot.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
good good utility player. Also shout out to the Twins. They got the Cubs ranked 8 prospect Ryan Gallagher, who is pretty solid.
yeah,
So I think getting that for an expiring utility guy, pretty solid. I'm gonna give this a B for the Cubs, B plus for the Twins.
yeah, and the next one, Bailey Falter for Evan Sisk and Callan Moss with the Royals.
This was the move I was talking about the Royals earlier that I actually really like for them. Now,
I mean, he's
obviously,
got some control left on him, Falter,
he does. He has another 2.5, no, 3.5 years of service time or control left.
which is
Um,
another thing where I guess the Pirates are confident in their in who they got in the system, which I would be too, because they have some good, very good
mhm,
prospects, even pitching prospects. But
mhm.
for guys who maybe they just drafted out of high school, like Seth Hernandez, I don't know if that was necessarily the smartest decision to trade him, but I don't think it's necessarily stupid.
Yeah, I really like this move for Kansas City.
I
I
do
think
too.
that there is some potential with Bailey Falter. It's a really low risk move because I don't think
I,
either of the
I
guys
agree.
they traded were ranked in their system. Bailey Falter, his underlying numbers don't look too great. They do show he gets hit a little bit hard. His strikeout and walk numbers could definitely be better. But he also, again, he is showing this year that he has just a 3.73 ERA this year. Pretty solid volume, pretty good control. Worst case scenario, if he's bad the next year or two, you can cut him loose at no cost, right? Because you didn't really give
Yeah.
up much for him. So I think it's a really low risk move for the Royals that could potentially set them up well in the future. I gotta really say I like it for the Royals. It's a B plus for them. I'm gonna give it like a B, maybe a B minus for the Pirates.
Yeah. I think that's a fair grade.
Mm-hmm. Next one, Nestor Cortez to the San Diego Padres for outfielder Brandon Lockridge. Now, the Brewers were. This one is a little interesting. Um, he is currently
I
on the
don't
60-day IL. I don't actually know what's up with his, um, like rehab. What his status is right now. They did give up a prospect who has seen a little bit of major league time, albeit he hasn't been very good in the bigs this year. But he's shown to be pretty solid in the minors, so I think that's really what they were banking on. I gotta say, this is like nothing. This is no risk at all for the Brewers. Like you traded a guy on the 60-day for a prospect who could be major league contributor, maybe not. But I don't really understand this from the Padres' perspective. I don't really get it, to be honest.
yeah.
This is a
But another yeah. But this trade's an interesting one. Dustin May for James Tibbs, who and Zach Earhart, but James Tibbs, who Boston just got from trading Devers.
When I saw that James Tibbs was a return, I was laughing. Red Sox
I don't
fans,
like that for Boston, to be quite honest,
I
at
don't.
all.
I don't. I thought that James Tibbs. Well, here's the thing. I remember when the Devers trade happened, I was looking at all their pieces. I thought James Tibbs is going to make or break this trade. Because I don't really think that anyone else they got for Devers really profiles that well. I don't think Kyle Harrison's that great. I don't think anyone else in that trade was that good. And then they traded him for Dustin May. Um, Here's the thing. Okay? Things have been grim lately, but here's the thing. Dustin May is not very good. This year he has not been good. He's pitching to nearly a 5 ERA. He walks an okay amount of guys. The ball leaves the yard. Strikeouts could definitely be better. He is expiring. You gave up the 5th ranked prospect in your system. Craig Breslow, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't.
What is this?
I don't exactly know what that is.
What is this?
I mean, you already. I'm not gonna say that the Red Sox aren't having a great year. I mean, they're doing fine, obviously. I mean, they're in a playoff spot. They're a game back of the Yankees. They're not even that far out of the division. I mean, when you look at it, so they're definitely there. But after the Devers trade, obviously things turned around. They started playing better baseball. The Giants started struggling. So I don't want to say that it's because of Devers, but maybe just the morale change, whatever it could be. I don't like the fact that it wasn't the greatest return, and then on top of that, you traded the biggest piece of the trade away already.
Yeah, like
that's where you kind of
for
lose
a guy
me.
who hasn't been very good this year. That's the thing. He just hasn't been good, and you traded your 5th ranked prospect for him. Really?
Yeah.
Even like removed from the Devers trade, it's like he's just not that great. So I don't really understand this. I'll be honest with you. I'm giving this an A- for the damn Dodgers, man. The fact that they got
So am
not
I.
just him, they got their 27th ranked prospect too. Who again, that's not that crazy. But the fact that you got 2 of these for an expiring pitcher who isn't very good, A- the Dodgers. I'm giving the damn Red Sox a D on this trade. I don't know what the hell Craig Breslow is doing right here. I don't know what this move is, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. That's probably the worst grade I think we're given today.
I think
so.
this is the most lopsided trade of the deadline. I think
100%.
It's the Dustin May one because I don't know what the hell's happening here.
And that's the thing, and Earhart's also just a solid like he is a ranked prospect. That's just a throw-in too. That's just that's just some extra on top of what you already got how you already feel like you came on top of a trade, and you got even more. So
okay, I think we can try to maybe not lightning round, but we'll go a little faster on these last few because it is we have been
like Taylor Rogers we already talked about.
Yeah,
so.
Taylor Rogers we already talked about. Phil Maton is a good grab for the Rangers. I don't really think there's much to say there. He really good contact manager.
No, I like it.
Yard. 0.023 home runs per 9, over 11 strikeouts per 9. Doesn't walk too many guys. You gave up 2 guys who weren't ranked in your system. Really good trade for the Rangers. I'm going to give this an A for the Rangers. I'm going to give this. For the Cardinals, it is a little more interesting because obviously they weren't ranked in the top 30 for Pipeline. But
I'll say B- for them.
Yeah, I'll say B- too. Like somebody like Mason Molina isn't bad. He's actually been pretty good across his minor leagues since this year. Excuse me. And then the other guy they got, Skylar Hales. He's been in the minors a little bit longer. He has touched AAA this year, but a lot of AA, a lot of last year he was in High A as well. He has not been quite as good, so I'm gonna give this a B- for them. Taylor Rogers we already talked about. I don't think Will Wagner to the Padres is worth talking about. I don't even know.
No, I mean that just opened up a roster spot. I think for the trade for the Ty France one.
Yeah.
So.
Adrian Hauser is actually an interesting one because he has pitched to a 2.10 ERA this year, and it is pretty much fully off of like he doesn't walk guys and the ball stays in the yard type of guy. He's one of these. He misses barrels a lot. He is in the 92nd percentile barrel rate, just simply a 4.9% barrel rate. Decent, pretty good ground ball rate as well, 73rd percentile there. Doesn't strike out guys much, but it hasn't mattered this year. So this is a good get for the Rays, I gotta say.
Yeah.
None. As far as I could, I looked on. I was looking on Pipeline to see where these guys ranked. They didn't rank in the Rays top 30 system, which is like kind of crazy. It is three
Yeah.
prospects, and some of them they do have a little bit of upside. So this isn't like a bad return for the White Sox. I'm also not going to sit here and act like Adrian Hauser had insane value, anyways.
Right.
Ben Peoples has been pitching pretty okay at AAA this year. Um, Curtis Mead. I actually, you want to know something that's really funny? I have a friend from Australia who is named like this exact name, Curtis Mead.
Oh
And
wow.
I remember I looked this up and I'm like, wait a minute, what the
That's
hell?
funny. So my cousin actually knew someone through baseball whose name was Reese Hoskins, spelled the exact same. And that's like not like Reese is not like a common name spelled like that.
Yeah,
So that's what I found that one interesting.
that's an interesting one. Curtis Mead, like he's been at the major league level for a little bit. He's gotten small stints here and there. He hasn't been super impactful, so albeit maybe there's something there. He doesn't even have a year of service time, so maybe the White Sox end up getting something there. White Sox and player development, I know, but
Yeah.
it's I'd give this one a B minus for the White Sox. I'm gonna give this a B plus for the Rays. It's a really low risk trade. It can end up turning out really well for them.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm gonna go. Camilo Doval to the New York Yankees. This one I was kind of shocked by this. I actually wasn't really expecting them to trade Doval. I think that this is another really good trade for the Yankees. I said this kind of like falls in the same camp as the Jake Bird one. Camilo
I think
Doval,
this is
obviously,
better.
his strikeout stuff is down. He does walk a decent amount of guys, but with that being said, he's pitched to just a 3.09 ERA out of the bullpen this year, and he kind of helps shore up that Yankees bullpen. He's a really good contact manager as well. You look at all his batted ball numbers. He misses barrels. The ball isn't hit very hard off him. Runs a really good ground ball rate on top of good strikeout and walk numbers. Sorry, good
Yeah.
strikeout numbers, not good walk numbers, bad walk numbers.
Yeah.
But we combine all
But
that together.
I feel like this package is more quantity over quality.
Yes, the top prospect they gave up was their 20th ranked prospect for a reliever that you are going to have on a contract for the rest of this year and the next 2 years after. I think this is a great deal for the
Yeah.
Yankees. Actually, I'd give this an A for the Yankees.
Yeah, I agree. I'll give an A for the Yankees and probably like a C for the Giants,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah, I'll give it a C plus. I think you probably could have got more for Doval.
Yeah.
This one was interesting. I wasn't expecting Griffin Jacks to go to Tampa Bay. Griffin Jacks
No,
is
I love that for them, and I don't think they gave up that much either. I think Taj Bradley's just like he can be solid, but
yeah. Taj
I just think for
Bradley.
the position
Mhm.
that the Rays are in, that just makes more sense for them to have Griffin Jacks.
Yeah, they've clearly just like they decided we're not gonna wait around on Taj Bradley anymore. Um, Griffin Jacks again. He has another 2.5 years of control left. Getting Taj Bradley. He does have a 4.50 ERA this year. Jacks does, but are you gonna tell me that you expect
His
a guy
underlyings
with
look unbelievable.
14 strikeouts per 9 innings, 2.5 walks, and sub 1 home runs per 9 is going to stay at a 4.50 ERA? No. Like, there's no shot. I will bet money. I
Yeah.
will bet all the physical money that I have in my hand right now, which probably amounts to, like, less than $10 because it's all coins, but um, I will bet all of it that Griffin Bax will be, like, hovering around a 2 ERA next year. Like,
Also, any MLB player who may be listening, do not actually take him up. You don't want to end up like Ortiz
yeah,
or
don't
Clase,
don't
okay? Do
listen.
not actually
Listen,
accept that bet.
if you're a player, don't take me up because that's not gonna look good for you. Yeah, the thing is, Jackson had really bad BABIP luck. He's allowed nearly a 400 batting average on balls in play, which is like ridiculous. Even if you're actually giving up hard contact, that number is just kind of ridiculous. And
Yeah.
it isn't really a secret that he doesn't actually give up that much hard contact. He's kind of middling in barrel rate, slightly below average. His average exit velocity is around average. Runs a solid ground ball rate. He's going to be really good. This is an A for the Rays. I'd give this a B minus for the Twins.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
All right. I think we'll talk about two more.
We already talked about Charlie
Yeah.
Morton when we were talking about the Tigers.
Yeah.
So let's go to the Jays
Let's
trade.
talk about this trade here. Sorry, we said it was Louis Varland, right?
Louis Varland.
Louis
Yeah.
Varland. Okay, I couldn't remember if it was Louis or Louis. So Louis Varland and Ty France for the Toronto Blue Jays for left-handed pitcher Kendry Rojas and outfielder Alan Roden. Sam, if you're listening to this podcast, rest in peace to the Vision. Alan Roden, we salute you. And then, Kendry Roden was ranked the 6th prospect in the Jays system, which is a little bit of a sting, maybe.
I like him.
But here's the thing. Louis Varland is fucking disgusting. And
he's also under control till 2030, which is good. Which is important to notice.
We have him for the next 5 years.
Yes.
And he's nasty.
I like that a lot.
This is not a guy I would have traded at the deadline if I were the Twins. I do understand that he's not, like, super, super young. He's 27. So, like, maybe by the time you're competitive again, you're probably not thinking he's on the roster. He is 95th percentile in fastball velocity. He runs good walk numbers. He only has a 239 walks per 9. Is a really good contact manager. 94th percentile ground ball rate. He gets guys to chase. This guy is ridiculous, man. He's so good.
Yeah, and for Ty France, something I want to point out. He doesn't have the greatest numbers. He doesn't look like he's anything special.
He's Matt Stamps.
I'm not going to lie. But here's the funniest thing. He is a high-leverage merchant. In high-leverage situations this year, he's hitting 429. He has a slash time of 429, 515, 571 with a 210 WRC plus. And with men on base in general, he's slashing 307, 386, 420 with a 130 WRC plus. So just get guys on base for him, and he's hitting the ball, apparently. So I like that. I like the sounds of that. He's a timely hitter.
This is ridiculous. Yeah, man. Kendry Rojas, obviously that sucks. He was their 6th ranked prospect in their system. He's pitched really
Roden
well.
I like Roden, but I think he was a fairly replaceable guy. I'd much rather trade Roden than like Joey Loperfido or someone like that. So
yeah, I think this is a really good trade for Toronto. Listen, I don't care. I don't give a damn if I'm biased. I'm giving this an A+ if I'm Toronto. Louis Varland is nasty.
I'm not gonna say A+. I'm gonna say A. In Minnesota, I'm gonna give a B because I think that Rojas is good. I don't know, obviously, how it's going to translate. We don't know. We've seen what Varland can do in the majors. We don't know what Rojas has done. Roden's solid. He's nothing special, but I think it's a B+ for Minnesota.
I do want to say, how is Varland... Okay, this is a genuine question. Varland has pitched 192 and 2/3 innings at the major league level across parts of 4 seasons, including this year. According to Fangraphs, his service time is 0.163 years. Can someone explain to me why?
Something doesn't sound right there.
I think this service time has to be listed wrong, right? Like, this has to be listed incorrectly.
I would have
this does not make sense. This genuinely does not make sense to me. I'll look after and see if there's like, if like his service time is listed differently on like MLB.com or Spotrac or something, or Spotrac. I don't know how you say it, but that just doesn't seem right. Because how do you pitch almost 200 innings and you don't have a year of service time yet? I don't understand that.
His service time is still that on Baseball Reference, too. That checks out.
Dude,
Interesting.
What the fuck? Okay, I don't get it.
I don't...
Regardless.
I mean, the thing is, though, if he is under team control till 2030, I guess it checks out somewhat.
Yeah, it makes sense. I just don't... When I look at that sample, I just don't understand how they arrive at...
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's something we could look off of the...
Hey, man, if he stays on our team till 2030 because of it, hey, shit, I don't mind.
Yeah, I'm not going to say no to that.
All right, and we have the last trade that we're going to be talking about.
Obviously, just Yastrzemski to Kansas City, which helps. It just gives them depth, which, nice move for them.
I don't think we know the return on that. Or at least when we...
I will triple check here.
When we started recording, they didn't have the return out. Maybe
Junior Marte is the trade. He pitched for the Phillies. He's not a prospect. If it's the same guy.
Interesting.
But
before we get to the last trade,
I'm being informed it's a different Junior Marte.
Oh, okay. Before we get
this was a 21-year-old.
Before we get to the last trade that we're going to talk about, apparently Brian Cashman was talking about like if Spencer Jones was untouchable. He said, quote, "Some guys are more touchable than others."
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that? The very first reply is a screenshot from Breaking Bad saying, Jesse, what the fuck are you talking about? Maybe the whole reply is like, what do you mean by that, man?
Yeah, and the last one we're going to talk about, Shelby Miller and Jordan Montgomery going to Milwaukee for, as of right now, it just was player to be named later or cash considerations. And if that's all it is, that's a great trade by Milwaukee.
We had a segment on the last episode. We were talking about the most probably slept on trade candidates, and I'm pretty sure mine was Shelby Miller. I think that's the one I said.
That was, yeah. And left-hander Kyle Finnegan.
Yeah, known left-handed pitcher Kyle Finnegan. That I gaslit myself into thinking he was.
But yeah, Shelby Miller, incredible season so far. And to get him for virtually nothing, I mean, I'm going to have to give that an A+ for Milwaukee.
They damn near got him for like free. Like, that's basically what they
did. A+ for Milwaukee, and I don't know, yeah.
Like, the only slight negative is that he like some balls in the air, but they aren't hit hard. He gets so many guys to chase. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball when it comes to getting guys to chase. He gets a lot of strikeouts. He doesn't walk too many guys. He misses barrels, soft contact. Like, he's so good. He's great. He's phenomenal, and they got him for almost nothing. Like, I really struggle to believe that Shelby Miller's market was a player to be named later. I really do struggle to see that. Especially considering what, like, Tyler Rogers got. I really have a hard time believing that he couldn't get you a team's top 15 prospect. He probably could have got more than that, to be honest. But a player to be named later at cash considerations? My God. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Plus they got Jordan Montgomery, which, I mean, you know.
I don't know if he's even pitching this year.
I mean, you know, good for him. He's on the 60-day IL. Not really sure what the status is there, but
I guess they just want to save some money.
I guess, yeah. Save some money for the rest of the year. I do gotta say, I really can't help but think that they probably could have got more for Shelby Miller.
That's for sure. I mean, I can tell you right now, as a Jays fan, I definitely wouldn't have hated giving up an actual prospect for him. I'm not saying like one of our elite ones, but I would have given up definitely more than a player to be named later.
I would have given up a top 15 prospect in our system for him, and they got a player to be named later.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's crazy. This is an A+ for the Diamondbacks. Like, you just got an elite relief pitcher for quite literally nothing.
The Brewers, you mean?
Yeah, for the Brewers. Yeah. My bad. It's an A+ for the Brewers. They literally just got an elite reliever for nothing. Listen, I understand for the Diamondbacks, you're probably saving some Jordan Montgomery money. This is a D, man. Like, what is this? For like nothing.
Yeah.
For nothing. That's crazy.
I don't know. Especially with what we saw, how the reliever market was. That's pretty insane to me.
Yeah, man. That's crazy. So I think we're just about ready to wrap up. We've been going for nearly 3 hours. It's about time we wrap this up.
Yeah.
I'll ask you one last question really quick. You can pick one. You can pick just one team. You can do an AL, NL, however you want to do it. Team of the deadline, man. Who had your favorite deadline?
It's got to be Seattle.
Yeah, I was thinking Seattle too. I was thinking Seattle too, man. That team's nuts. I think their only ads were like it was Suarez, Naylor, and Caleb Ferguson. But those are some damn guys, man.
You know who by far the worst one was though?
Who?
Atlanta Braves. Oh. What were they doing?
Yeah, I don't think they actually made a move, did they?
They didn't make anything of importance. Let's see. They made.
I don't think did they move a single major league player.
They traded. Yeah, Montero. Rafael Montero is the only guy they traded. Carlos Carrasco they moved, but I don't think that was. Great. Or they got him rather. Never mind.
Great.
Yeah, for me.
Good for them.
I meant.
Good for them.
Definitely
Rafael
nothing.
Montero and his,
they didn't trade any of the contracts. Like I heard Ozuna was going to get traded, and same with the Pirates with Tommy Pham, and he never did. Ozuna, I heard like there were teams interested, and he was going to get moved considering he's a free agent. There was nothing. And funny tweet about Marcell Ozuna here from Claiborne Snowden at Clay_Snow. He is a MLB and Reds contributor for Just Baseball. He said, hearing the Braves didn't trade Ozuna because he wanted to drive one of the cars at Bristol this weekend, considering his history with operating a motor vehicle, this is a major concern. And I think that's the tweet of the day.
God, Man, what the hell? Oh my god, man. I know that's crazy.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell the Braves are doing, man. That's gonna wrap up the trade deadline review. We graded every single, okay, not every single move, but damn near every single move that included a major league player. If we forgot a move, sorry. We went for nearly 3 hours. I hope that's enough, but yeah, that's just about every single move made in deadline season graded. Yeah, we thank you for joining us. We'll see you again in a week. We'll have seen a little bit of these guys on their new teams hopefully by then. So we'll see you in a week,
And
we will. See
I just want to say, I just want to say last thing to every single person who was with us for the first, who listened to the first one, or even whether it was listen to the whole thing or listen for 5 minutes, subscribe to the channel or just like the tweet, whatever it was. Thank you so much. It means so much to have any support, especially from people who, both people that we do know and people we don't know, whether it's people who are our friends who are watching to support us or people who just found the podcast. We just want to thank you.
Absolutely, man. Shout out to everyone who tuned in, is tuning in right now. If you're still listening for 3 hours, I'm glad that you appreciate our voices that much. So, yeah, we'll sign off on this one. We'll catch you guys in a week.